Recording in progress.
Good evening. Welcome to our regularly scheduled commission meeting, March 8th, 2023. The time is now 7:02. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass. Vice Mayor Irvin.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Here. Can we stand for the invocation? Led by Commissioner Williams.
Good evening. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for all the many blessings you bestowed upon us this day and every day. Lord, we thank you as you continue to watch over the great city of Opa-locka, its residents, its community partners, and everyone that wants to do the great things that we are planning to do, not only tonight, but each and every night. In these things we ask and pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance. Which is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We also ask for us to keep in prayer the family of the Miami-Dade officer that was shot this afternoon. So we ask that you keep his family and himself in prayer as we believe God for complete recovery and healing on his behalf.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner?
Yes, we also keep former Commissioner Johnson in our prayers and her rehab, and also former Commissioner Holmes, who I learned was in the hospital as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, we have any awards, proclamations at this time?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. We have a presentation by Commissioner Williams, and that presentation will be for the Top Ladies of Distinction Day.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, you have the floor.
Okay, if my colleagues can join me at the bottom, as well as the top ladies of distinction. Oh, you're gonna come on up. Come on up. Don't be shy. It's just us. So come on this way. Well, you stand here, and then everybody can go that way. Okay. You're gonna stand. You're gonna stand over. So I was supposed to put my heels on tonight because now I'm looking like I'm shorter than Vice Mayor. But anyway, I am so honored and pleased to not only introduce to some, but to let others know about the distinct work of Top Ladies of Distinction that I've been so graciously honored, along with my new inductees, the 16 Shades of Slay, into the Top Ladies of Distinction. I have the honor of, yes, clap it up, of standing next to our chapter president, Lady Karen Love. Lady Love. So we want to make sure that because we know this is Sisterhood Month, Women's History Month, that we honor those women that are doing the great work, the service in our community. So this proclamation is for our Top Ladies of Distinction Miami chapter, and it says, whereas the city of Opa-locka, in honor of Women's History Month, recognizes Top Ladies of Distinction Incorporated, the public service organization that originally marshaled the talents, energies, and skills of women nationally in collaborative efforts to alleviate the moral and social problems confronting youth in the mid-60s. Yes, in the 60s. Whereas the organization has expanded its objectives to include its focus on youth, known as Top Teens, which my oldest is in, improving the status of women, service to our senior citizens, community beautification, and community partnerships. Top Ladies of Distinction has included in its program a cooperative peer education facet with Top Teens of America. Lastly, whereas the Top Ladies of Distinction has grown to include thousands of dedicated, concerned, hardworking women. The ladies represent a cross-section of resourceful, powerful women, all of whom work interest in more than 4,000 places. Top Ladies support each other, human rights, which is one of our thrusts, organizing geared toward enhancing the quality of life for our fellow human beings. Now, therefore, I, Commissioner Veronica J. Williams, along with the citizens of the great city of Opa-locka and my colleagues and the City Commission, Mayor John Taylor Jr., Vice Mayor Natasha Irvin, Commissioner Dr. Shirlene Bass, and Commissioner Joseph Kelly Dubai, hereby proclaim March 8th, 2023 as Top Ladies of Distinction Day here in the great city of Opa-locka.
Thank you. To the mayor, the vice mayor, the commissioner, and all those that are assembled, good evening. Again, I'm Lady Karen Love, and on behalf of the chapter, we would like to thank you all for this special recognition during Sisterhood Month. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, this is not a family reunion. Let's go. Now, I will say, and I know for two things. Number one, I had to get clarity because the last time half of these women was here, they were wearing red. So I asked Lady Love, I said, did y'all switch over to a different organization? And I was a little confused. And then while I'm upset, and I know Commissioner Kelly agrees with me, we didn't get the memo of pink. So I would have worn a pink tie, and Commissioner Kelly said he would have worn a pink tie.
The only time I'm gonna wear pink.
But I know Commissioner Williams said that we are not allowed to wear pink. But as we're moving right along, Commissioner Williams, congratulations on your induction to this great organization. And we salute you all for all of the great work that you do. And we need some of that great work here in the great city of Opa-locka. As we move on to the approval of our consent agenda, do we have any pulls, deferrals, or deletions from the consent agenda?
Give me 1 second, Mr. Mayor. Bearing strength.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to pull 3, 4, 5, and 6, since y'all don't have none to pull.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to pull number 1, and I believe 3 was already pulled, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So just for clarity, we're pulling items 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Is that correct? Okay. Can I get approval of tonight's consent agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Irvin. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Clerk, are there any add-ons to this agenda on tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do have several add-on items. The first one would be added as 14-1, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the city manager to take necessary measures to reopen Ingram Park, providing for an effective date. This item is sponsored by Commissioner Kelly.
Okay, Mr. Manager, can you state the emergency nature of this add-on?
I believe this is Commissioner Kelly's item, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In order to get the park open, there are certain things that needs to take place within a timely manner, and this allows the manager to do what he needs to do from a budgetary standpoint to get Ingram Park reopened.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Williams. Madam Clerk? Roll call
Commissioner-
to amend the agenda.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, Madam Clerk, you said that there was another
Yes,
add-on. How
yes,
many is
Mr.
it?
Mayor.
Just two or?
2.
Two. Go ahead.
The next item will be included as 14-2, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending the annual adopted general, proprietary, and special revenue funds budgets for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2022, and ending September 30th, 2023, adjusting revenues and expenditures as reflected in Exhibit A, providing for the expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing the city manager to take certain actions, providing for appropriation of all budget and expenditures, providing for fees consistent with appropriations and amendment, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This item is sponsored by the interim city manager, and this would be a first reading ordinance.
Okay,
14-2.
Mr. Manager, can you state the emergency nature of this add-on item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So we are bringing forward this on an emergency basis so that we can assist our residents with housing and security needs. This will authorize us to utilize the ARPA funds for the programs that the residents selected to fund, and part of that program is the rental assistance and mortgage assistance program. As you are aware, the budget amendments require 2 readings, so we wanted to bring this tonight for the first reading, have the second reading on the 22nd of this month, so that we can start cutting out checks to our residents on the 23rd.
Okay, can I get a motion to add this to the agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass. Yes. Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the workshop minutes for February 1st, 2023?
Move it.
Mr. Mayor,
Ma'am,
can we set the agenda, approval of the agenda?
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor said I do that every week. I'll be ready. Can we call for a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor, who's being petty up here, but I love her. Now, Madam Clerk, can you call for a vote?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
So now, can we call for approval of the workshop minutes from February 1st, 2023?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, can we have approval of the workshop minutes for February 8th, 2023?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any reports from District 1 or District 2?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Not at this time. Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any public presentations at this time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have a presentation by Freebie Director of Business Development and Government Affairs, Claudia Myro, and she's going to be providing a presentation on Freebie's transportation alternative to improve local mobility for Opa-locka residents.
I was going to say Miss Freebie. Miss Claudia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, commissioners. And thank you for voting me Miss Freebie. I appreciate that. I expect my crown and sash at the end of the meeting. Well, thank you very much. I will be brief, but I do want to give you a high-level overview of Freebie. We are excited to share our services with you and share how we have been working with over 30 communities in South Florida and also in Virginia. Freebie, is there like a clicker where I can change the... Oh, all right, next, please. I like that even better. So we see Freebie as the future of mobility. And basically what we do is that we move people from, physically move people with door-to-door, on-demand, door-to-door transportation, and it's free. And really inspire local communities, local businesses, and just really trying to move people within the community that they live in. And we understand that that helps get cars off the road, reduces traffic, frees up parking availability. And again, one of the things that sets Freebie apart is that we're not just a transportation company, we're also an economic development tool. And we have the ability through our mobile platform to inspire local destinations and let people know everything and anything that's happening here within the city of Opa-locka through our free advertising that we offer the local businesses in our mobile app. And so obviously we understand that every city has a different look and feel, and one of the best parts about Freebie is that we're highly customizable to meet whatever your transportation goals, and again, it's 100% electric. Next slide. And just to give you an overview about Freebie and who we are, we have been around since 2012. Actually, we turned 11 on Super Bowl Sunday, and we are currently operating over a fleet of over 150 vehicles in over 30 communities. And if you take a look at the map there, that kind of gives you an idea of our footprint. We are now as far north as Kissimmee, and as far south as Isla Mirada in the Florida Keys, over in St. Pete Beach on the West Coast. Before you think, oh, well, maybe my city's too small or too big for this. Oh, wait a minute, she's got my crown and sash. You can understand that we are in all types of communities. We're in coastal communities, downtown communities, all different kinds of communities. And so we have received several awards and recognitions, including the Key to the City of Miami, Key to Miami-Dade County, and that just speaks to the fact that we are valued partners and we are active members of the community. If you're a Super Bowl fan, we were also the clean energy transportation for Super Bowl 2020 when it was here in Miami. Next screen, please. And so here's the most important part. How does it work? Freebie is a combination of Uber meets Yelp, where you're able to request a ride with just a touch of a button, and you're also exposed to everything and anything happening in the city of Opa-locka while you're in their app. If you see in the center there of the screen, those are a carousel, and that carousel can show you anything from surveying for the local city, a local event. Let's say you're having a fireworks event that you want to promote there, a new local business that opened, a new restaurant. All of that can be in the circulator, and then on the bottom there, on the bottom banner, you can tie into any of mass transit, all in one easy-to-use app. And again, the best thing about us is that we are separated from other transit companies because we have that ability to really promote that economic development. Next slide. This is just a map of all the different service areas. Like I said, we're highly customizable. Some cities will do a geofence around their entire city, and then you can take the Freebie within that geofence. Some cities only want to focus on their downtown area or their CRA area to really move traffic into those areas. Some cities do a zone within a zone, which basically means they'll do, like, let's say, their downtown area as one zone, and then the rest of the city as the other zone, so that it really does focus on bringing people downtown, bringing them to the local businesses. And so you have to start or end your ride in the CRA zone or the downtown zone that you're looking to bring traffic to. Next slide. How to use the app, super, super simple. The first one, as you see that green button, you just push that button that says request a ride. It'll take you to that next screen where you're gonna be dropping your PIN, and then the following screen where you put your destination. Now you could either type in, as an example, Publix, or the address to Publix, or pick from any of our categories there where it says restaurants and bars, points of interest, arts and entertainment, and select your location from there. And then that final screen, super easy, either click you if it's just you riding 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is also the screen where you're going to select an accommodation. So if you need a wheelchair, if you need a car seat, a booster chair, you're gonna indicate that. And as soon as you hit confirm ride, you are connected in real time to one of our drivers. You're gonna get a message that's gonna tell you your approximate wait time, how many rides are ahead of you. You can see the driver on a map, just like you would with when you select another rideshare company where you can see it. The difference is obviously the transportation is free. And then also for, let's say, seniors, and you have seniors that may not feel comfortable using a smartphone or the app. So we have a toll-free number that they can call and get connected to dispatch, and dispatch will go ahead and do the same functions for them. Next slide, please. And the wonderful thing about that also is that you're waiting at home. If they tell you you have to wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're not waiting out in the sun, you're not waiting out in the rain, you're waiting either at the place of business or you're waiting at home to get picked up for your ride. And that's one of the really high-level values that people really appreciate, that door-to-door mobility, especially our senior community. Again, high program benefits, some of them we already went over, is reducing traffic, taking cars off the street, freeing up some of that parking availability, and then our community ambassadors is what we call our drivers. We hold them to the highest standards. They have to be knowledgeable, as in fact, we hire them, we give them priority, hiring from the city of Opa-locka, and they have to be knowledgeable in the area and everything that's going on. If it's a new restaurant, if it's a place to, to shop at, entertainment, they have to be aware of all that. Economic development, I already mentioned to you, and I'll say it 100 times, it's really one of the things that set us apart is that we're able to really bring people to the doors of the local businesses, the local restaurants, et cetera. And then, of course, sustainability, we're 100% electric. Next slide. Now, who rides freebie? This is a popular question. Who rides freebie? Well, we are very proud to say that everybody rides freebie. We are the most equitable form of public transportation out there. And I say that because we have different kinds of people, no matter what their socio-demographic is, their age demographic, riding freebie. In the morning, we might have somebody taking freebie to connect to mass transit, to get that first mile and last mile. Sometimes we have it by noon, you have C-suite executives taking it to go to a business lunch or a business meeting. Then in the afternoon, you have students getting out of school, taking freebie to get home from school. You have seniors going to the doctor, going to the pharmacy, going to Publix. So, and even pets, families, tourists, anybody can ride freebie. So again, very equitable form of transportation, and we're very proud of that. Next slide. And then this is the drivers, very important part here, community ambassadors. They really become the face of the community. They become like a mobile concierge, like a rolling information desk on wheels, again, because they have to be so familiar with everything that's happening in the community. Now, let's say that you're doing an event activation and you want them to hand out information about an event that you're having. They can definitely push that information out. Important for you to know is that all of, different from other rideshare companies, each and every one of our community ambassadors are 100% freebie employees, W-2 employees. If they're full-time, they're getting health benefits. And we have to follow code 1490 from FDOT, which means for you that we have to do level 2 background checks, not just over the top like some of these other companies. Level 2, they're getting health screenings, drug screenings, a random drug testing, and for heaven's sake, we even do sleep apnea studies so that you can feel safe that when you're getting in a car, you're getting in the car with a driver that's safe. In fact, 70% of our riders are women because they feel so safe. And you're gonna get the same drivers in the same area all the time. You're gonna get to know their name, they're gonna get to know your name, and that's when that sense of community is really coming together there. Next slide. Next slide, please. No problem. I can continue. So the other aspect is a lot of folks will ask us about.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so funding, right? Show me the money. How does this get funded, right? That's your question. That's what you want to know. That's what everybody wants to know. So freebie is funded like any other form of public transportation. It's a line item to pay for freebie. However, we've gotten very creative in how to help cities pay for this service. So number one, there are grants out there. FDOT has a beautiful grant called the Public Service Transit Development Grant, and that grant helps to pay for 50% of the total cost of the program for the first 3 years. So that is what most cities do. Other cities take advantage of the CITT dollars. That's another way of paying for that. And then there's other green grants. You could switch slides, please. Next slide. The next slide after that. That's where I'm at. No. Well, I'll get there in a second. So anyway, there's different ways of paying for the service, and one of the last ways is advertising. Some of the cities will say, oh, no, you know what, we just want to see our city of Opa-locka branding on our vehicles, and some cities will say, you know what, we're okay with you advertising on there, and we'll wrap the vehicles in advertising. And when we sell advertising, what we do is we do a revenue share with the city. It's a 50-50 split, so for every dollar we bring in advertising, we give 50 cents back to the city to help them lower their costs even further. We have cities that, get the grant and they pay 50% of the service through the grant, and the other 50% they split with CIDT, or they do it through advertising. So here is a destination example. I was talking to you about how we do free advertising for the local businesses. Once you sign on with Freebie, we have an economic development team of officers that go door to door to every single business, asking them if they want to have a free profile on our app. And that's what that looks like. In that first slide, you see the name of the business. In the carousel there, the next one, it's a drop-down button that basically says restaurants and bars, places of interest, arts and entertainment. They have the ability to offer deals and discounts. So let's say that you're going to a restaurant. That restaurant can now say, we're going to give you 10% off if you take a freebie to come here and not take a parking space, or we can give you a free drink with entree, free dessert with entree. That's one of the ways that we work with the local businesses. But in closing, every single project that we have, every community that we have kicked off, and we're in over 30 communities here in South Florida, has started off as a 12-month pilot project, okay? And I'm here to tell you, every single one of them, we have never had anybody cancel the service after the 12-month project, which speaks to the fact that it works. It's been working for 11 years. It serves everyone. And so what's good about the pilot project is that you get to see how your community behaves transportation-wise. You're going to have a low cost, low risk, because we're the ones that are going to come in and we're going to purchase the vehicles. All you're going to pay for is basically the on-demand door-to-door service, and you'll decide what days of the week you want. You'll decide how many hours you want to operate, and that's basically what you pay for. We do all the hiring. We do buy the vehicles. We do the insurance. We do the setup of the charging stations. We are 100% turnkey. And during that time, we're going to give you a live dashboard. So your transportation director, your public works director, the mayor, whoever wants to go in there and wants to see what's happening right now, you can look at that live dash and say, how many people have written the freebie today? How many people are currently waiting to take the freebie? What's the average wait time? Where are they going? Where are they coming from? You can see a heat map. And that just helps you decide. Maybe you look and you see that you have a low ridership day. We have cities that say, oh, you know what, Sunday's not really a busy day. I'm going to take the hours for Sunday and allocate them to other days of the week. Or we're getting a lot of people requesting it in this area. We were going to go ahead and expand the service, the geofence. We don't charge for expanding geofences. Those are just phone calls that you just make to us. You don't have to come back to commission. You just say, hey, can you please expand it 2 more blocks this way or 3 more blocks that way? And we'll do that for you. Like the same thing with the hours. Once you contract, you pick a certain amount of hours and you allocate how you want to spread those hours out throughout the week. We have cities that run 7 days a week. We have cities that run Monday through Friday. We have cities that run Thursday through Sunday. Again, highly customizable to meet the needs of your community and your transit goals. And so that's all I have for you. If I've missed anything, please definitely ask me questions. I am here to answer them.
Okay. To the commission, do we have any questions?
Well, thank you so much, Miss Freebie, for the presentation. And the car is beautiful, by the way.
Oh yes, we have it downstairs for anyone who wants to see it. It's the Tesla with it's the Model X Tesla, which is basically Tesla's SUV version, because it does look like a car, but it seats 6 plus the driver, and it has Falcon doors which open upwards, which makes it very easy to get in and out of the car, especially our seniors.
You, in your presentation, you mentioned a grant opportunity. Would the city have to write the grant ourselves, or will that be in a partnership with the company to write that grant?
So we help you, connect you, but it's FDOT, and actually FDOT has just announced that they are going to be doing a workshop for all the cities in April. I want to say it's April 10th. They just sent the email on Friday. I can definitely forward it along. So the cities have the opportunity to attend the FDOT workshop, where they walk your staff through every little step that they have to do. And then once the application opens in May, workshop in April, application opens in May, and you will know by Halloween if you got the grant or not. If you did get the grant, which most cities do, the monies come in for FY 2024, which is in July, as the state's fiscal year starts July 1.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, you have?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I had one question you already answered. The other one was, you talked about the cars. Who stores the cars?
So the
And you
vehicles,
talked about charging stations.
yeah, so the vehicles will live here in the city of Opa-locka. Normally what we do is we ask you to provide parking spaces, and maybe if in a public parking garage. If there's no public parking garage, then we ask for some space in a public works lot and a public work facility, and we will come in and we will set up the charging station, set up cameras to keep eyes on our cars. We do everything. We pull the permits to set up the charging stations. Everything is 100% turnkey.
Okay, and my next question is, I'm familiar with the program. I know a lot of cities use it especially for their senior citizen population, and you talked about geofencing. But is there something like points of interest? Like, we have no Walmart in Opa-locka or Winn-Dixie or Publix. Will Freebie pick up my aunt and take her to Publix so she can go shopping, pick her up from Publix and bring her back home?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
we have that situation in one of the cities down south, Florida City. Florida City is what you call an urban food desert. They have no supermarkets within Florida City. So what we do is we take them to the neighboring city, which is Homestead, and what we do is we geofence around the Publix so that they can go from Florida City to the Publix, right? They can go from Florida City to Homestead Hospital. They can go from Florida City to Miami-Dade College, and they can go from Florida City to the mass transit where the train is. So you can do the same thing here, geofence the Walmart, geofence the Publix. So as long as they're requesting a ride to or from any of those places, then they can go.
And there's no additional cost?
Nope. No, the only thing that I do caution is that if you go too far outside, you're going to affect your level of service. And what I mean by level of service, I'm talking about your wait times. You're going to determine the level of service that you want to offer. I have some cities that say, listen, our buses were running on 90-minute headways. We're okay if our folks wait 30 minutes because they're waiting at home. And then I have other cities that say, no, we want them to wait a maximum of 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And then that's going to determine the analysis that we do and say, okay, well, if you want them to come to only wait 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to need more vehicles. And that's basically what happens. So if you go too far outside, then, but again, with the Teslas, we have the ability to move them pretty easily.
Those are my questions. Anyone else? Vice Mayor?
Who determines how many cars that we get? Is that something that you all do based upon the size of our city?
So like I was saying, it's going to be, we work hand in hand with your staff to see what your transportation goals are, what areas you want to service. Like he was just mentioning the Publix, the Walmart. Once we understand what it is that you want to service, once we understand the wait times, the level of service that you want, then we'll come back and make a recommendation based on that of how many vehicles you're going to need. And I'll tell you, there has been times where we've made a recommendation, the city has gone with less, or they've gone with more, but we always stick with, we always provide a recommendation. We always tell you why we're making that recommendation, but you're free to go with whatever you decide.
Thank you.
Okay. You finished, Vice Mayor? Anyone else? And we're going to move on? Okay.
My question is, for a city our size with approximately 16,000 residents, 4.4 square miles, what it looks like financially on our part, even if we are granted the grant.
What does it look like financially?
Yes.
Well, it just really depends on how many vehicles, again, once we do that study. But I can give you an idea. If you're trying to figure out how much it's going to cost you per vehicle, I can give you an idea so that you can do the math.
Is it, I'm sorry, the amount of vehicles you would suggest, I'm thinking, would it has something to do with the amount of residents we have in our city?
No, it would have to do with the area that you're trying to service. So the area that you're trying to service. So once we see how you want to move about, where you're trying to go, then we can figure out how many vehicles it's going to take. And then, back to the money question that I was addressing earlier, to give you an idea, the biggest driver of costs is going to be the amount of hours that you do. Like I mentioned, some people will go with 70, 84 hours a week. Some will go with 56 hours a week. So, and those hours, whatever you determine that you want those hours to be, you can allocate them however it is that you want. Now, the more hours you do, the less the cost per hour is per vehicle. The less hours you do, the more. And to give you an idea, for the Tesla, you're looking at between $35 an hour and $40 an hour. The more hours you do, you're closer to that $35 mark. The less hours a week you do, you're closer to that $40 an hour mark per vehicle, to give you a good idea.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Freebie before we release her?
Before you crown me.
Oh, that's Miss Opa-locka right there. So I don't think she's going to give up her crown. Any
Your
other questions?
Majesty, no.
All right, so we want to thank you for the presentation. It was great. I'm familiar with the program, and I hope this is something that we can adopt here in the great city of Opa-locka.
Absolutely. We
Thank
look
you
forward to
again,
working
Ms.
hand in
Claudia.
hand with you. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Okay, we're getting ready to go into our citizens forum. Madam Clerk, can you please read into record the rules for participation for a citizens forum?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. City of Opa-locka Commission meetings are held in person at the Opa-locka Municipal Complex, City Commission Chambers, 780 Fisherman Street, 3rd floor, Opa-locka, Florida. Members of the public wishing to address the commission may do so in person or virtually. Those persons wishing to participate virtually should register prior to the scheduled meeting time on the city's website at www.opalockafl.gov. When speaking before the commission, please make sure to give your full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is part of the commission meeting agenda. City commission meetings are aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-locka. And Mr. Mayor, at this time, we do not have any virtual public comments.
Okay, so no virtual public comments. Citizens forum is open. You can join the podium to my left, your right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is John Riley, 2963 Northwest 135th Street in Opa-locka. I stand in opposition to agenda item 14.1, and there's a reason for that. I'm a native of Alabama, and the civil rights movement was very dear to me. And unfortunate for me is that most of the people that I knew in Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia, especially was women of color, who fought for the rights of others, who wanted to ensure that their rights were protected, not taken away from them, but given to them. 1968, unfortunately, next month will be an anniversary. Martin Luther King went to Memphis, Tennessee to fight for the city employees, the rights of city employees. I would like for the commission, Mr. Mayor, each one of you to Google Griffin versus the city of Opa-locka. Angela Griffin versus the city of Opa-locka. I really would like for you to read what those federal judges had to say about the city commission and name them by name, because we did not have in place help for city employees, and we had a 32-year-old female that was not only harassed but raped in accordance with the courts by a city manager of the city of Opa-locka. Read it for yourself. We need in place something that has truth and has meaning so that we can help our people. We wanted to help our people, but it's been misunderstood. A democracy, Mr. Mayor, is checks and balances. That's what democracy is about. It is not about somebody, a dictator or a person, one person in charge of everything. That's not what a democracy is about. It's checks and balances, it's shared power. And we're supposed to look out for one another, check one another. I had asked, but I see it didn't happen tonight, that you defer this item until we can get together and talk, have meetings, have workshops, find out what it is that we want. If not, we also have in our charter, we can petition our residents and place an item on the charter. We can place it for a charter amendment on the ballot. We have the authority to do that. So I just wanted to say that tonight. Everybody else who don't live here can talk as long as they want to, but we only get 3 minutes. But I share that with you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem.
I hope you will consider what I said.
No problem, Mayor Riley. Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Clerk, and other city personnel. I hope that everyone's day has been amazing. My name is Kimberly Downer, and I currently reside at 945 Arabia Avenue here in Opa-locka. I'm currently a Rising Black Scholar at Miami-Dade College studying sociology, and I'm also a student fellow at a local nonprofit organization. My reason for coming to the commission meeting tonight is to acknowledge the great work that has been accomplished so far by the commission, and to also set hope for future works to happen. Just last month, I came to the commission meeting and raised concern about youth engagement and activation here within the city, while asking for change. Since then, great conversation has been held, and hopefully more will come from it, going from events within the community for the youth to new initiatives that can be started, mentioned like the Youth Commission and also little free library boxes around the community. Moving to another topic of scholarships and internships or fellowships within the community. While it's been mentioned on the agenda, more can be added to the summer internships or the summer job like it was stated. Recently, the mayor of Miami-Dade, Mayor Cava, has just released her summer internships. Those internships were extended to high school students, undergraduate students within college, and also graduate students, allowing for an opportunity to all. So much more can come from doing the same within the city of Opa-locka by creating 2 to 5 for each study level. With doing this, the annual scholarship can also be opened or extended to college students rather than to just seniors in high school. I myself was a recipient of the Opa-locka scholarship last year, but I was only one of 3, while there was 5 scholarships offered. So if you open it up to more students, then more will apply. If the scholarship had a wider range, you will see more initiative from students wanting to actually get those scholarships, because at Miami-Dade, you can see a lot of students going to the financial aid office asking to see if they're able to get more money to actually cover books or other classes that they're not able to get covered. So I want to thank you for allowing me the time to speak tonight, and I hope you have an amazing night.
Thank you, Ms. Downer. Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening, Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jan Avenue. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm going to be passing out, or he's going to be passing out something. Happy International Women's Day to all of the women. Also, as you already know, I've always been an advocate to have mailers sent out to residents to keep them informed regarding events instead of just posting on Facebook. We know not everyone has social media. As you can see, this mailer started October 2022, and I'm sorry that it's so small you probably can't see it, but I do have the original, how it looks, okay? We know that everybody doesn't have social media, and as you can see, the mailer started October of last year, and it's still running until May 2023. Short lines, straight to the point, city events. Now that we have a marketing firm, maybe we can incorporate this so residents can be informed of upcoming events. So I'm going to hand this to the mayor so he can research it, look at it. It's a little bit bigger. Now I don't have much time, but I wanted to talk about code compliance in the division of City of Hialeah. I looked this up. The Code of Compliance Division was established to promote safety, quality, respect, the rights of the citizens' properties. This is accomplished by enforcing rules and regulations, keeping the city beautiful, safe for all residents and visitors. The mission is dedicated to serving our citizens and businesses owners in a transparent, responsive, and professional manner. Their goal, maintaining our neighborhood safe, appealing, enforcing the city ordinance in a timely, equitable manner. Serving the public with professionalism, integrity, and respect. Now, to me, I feel that code enforcement officers here need a refresher course. They need diversity training, interactive training to address diversity, inclusion, and racial bias. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was flagged down by a resident and also a business owner regarding a particular code enforcement officer that has been harassing them. And you might wonder why they're not here. I asked them to come. However, they're in fear of retaliation. A retaliation against them. And now I don't think that they're all lying or making this up. Climbing over fences, taking pictures, one day he's gonna find the right one, the crazy one, or or a business owner that they're gonna say they had enough. If he wanted to be a detective, he should have gone to the police academy, or he should have he should have went to the police academy.
Thank you.
Angelina Roberts, 640 Dunad. I'm giving Art Dominguez my 3 minutes.
Well, as I stated before, this has been an ongoing issue, and I think that we really need to look into this because it's getting serious, that the city might be liable because of the harassment of this continuous code enforcement officer that keeps on, going over the fence. And, I can understand you wanting them to be in compliance, but if you go to a resident that also doesn't speak the language, I think you should have a code enforcement officer that understands them and they can communicate better, because they've expressed to me that they have gone inside their house with their badge and their face. Code enforcement, code enforcement. They don't know what they mean, so they're afraid. So they let them in or barge in through, taking pictures. Oh, this is new, this is new. Where did this happen? This looks new. You can't treat people like this. You have so many other properties that are really in bad shape, and nobody says anything. Everybody just stay quiet. And I still haven't found out what happened with the 905 Opa-locka Boulevard. I've asked several times in previous managers, commissioners meetings. and I still haven't had an answer, so I would like someone to give me an answer on that. Thank you.
Citizens Forum is still open. Thank you, Commissioner Dominguez. Before our next resident speaks on Citizens Forum, Mr. Manager, I just got a couple of texts from residents saying that the commission meeting is offline.
I'll look into that with our IT department, sir.
Okay. Are we recording, Mr. Manager, at this present moment so that we can air it later? We are recording? Okay. You have the floor.
Hello, my name's Nikisha Williams, 1200 Jan Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, 33054. I want to echo Happy International Women's Day. So I'd like to speak on 2 items. So the first item is I'd like to speak in support of 13.5, I believe. So we have talked about the importance of beautification and maintenance in this community. We've heard this time and time again. I sit on the historic preservation board, and it is something that we talk about often. And so I want to say that I'm excited to see this moving in the right direction. I'm excited to see us taking a next step, and would encourage this board to approve item 13.5. And then I'm also here to stand in opposition to 16.1. And so this is in regards to the Civil Service Board. I would really encourage us not to rely on non-HR professionals to do HR work. As someone who's done HR work, it takes a lot of work. It is a lot of knowledge, and I think when we put that in the hands of citizens who don't have the background and the education on doing it, we open ourselves up to legal issues. And if I'm not mistaken, that has happened in the past. And so we know that the Civil Service Board didn't work in the past, right? And so from my understanding, that's why it is no longer here. That's why it was dissolved. And so I would highly encourage us to think about, if we are going to bring it back, what are we doing different to make sure that it is going to work? And so I would just ask that you all really think about it. And again, I think the main point that I really want to make here is that we are putting HR decisions in the hands of non-HR professionals. This is when we hire a consultant to come in and help us if there are some concerns. And so I just wanted to make that point to this commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening to everyone on the dais. My name is Celia Pruitt. I reside at 2350 Northwest 141 Street. I'm not here to complain about anything, just give, some gratitude to our mayor, our vice mayor, and our commissioners. I just want to thank you all for my good time with the bingo. That was my first time, so I really enjoyed myself. A lot of freebies I received, so it helped. So thank you all very much. You really looked out for this senior citizen, so thank you. Also, too, to echo on the beautification that you all, with the article, if you can just add, please, if it's, once it's passed, alongside the canal banks, put some trash bins there, so that we can encourage our citizens, young and old. We need to come up with trying to get our city back in order. And once you pass that 151st, well, this is Opa-locka. You're going to want to bring others in, because we need to bring in more businesses into our city. But we need to clean it up and make it look appealing. So we need, if you can add that, get some waste baskets, and put across there, alongside the canal banks, and also in high traffic areas. you know, even on 22nd Avenue or 27th Avenue, you know, where it's high traffic, because the kids, they don't have any place to put things, and I see adults doing the same thing, you know, so consider that. And also, too, for the canal banks, get the necessary equipment we need to be able to get that trash out of the canals. You know, we have floating, what you call it, where you put your food containers in, they just floating all over the place, you know? And we need to just reach in, you know, and just get that stuff out, those long nets, pull them out. You know, I mean, and encourage our maintenance people to get out and start picking up some of that trash. I haven't seen that done lately. You know, they ride by, but I haven't seen them get out and pick up any trash. And I'm encouraging my neighbors to go along the canal banks, you know, to pick up the trash in front of their homes and everything. You know, when they see me, they know, because I have the little stuff here I picks up, and they getting on board. So I think, you know, once they see our maintenance people doing what they need to do, our city workers, then they're going to know, well, you know, we're going to get in trouble for this. We need to be mindful and keep our city clean. And also, too, I like to give thanks to our police department, Captain Alvarado, because I have been seeing him out patrolling the area, and he's getting out and talking to a lot of the residents about parking alongside the canal banks. You know, I see I'm able to come out my door now and not look at people every day in their face. You know, I mean,
Yes,
because they
ma'am.
think that it was I'm finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
But we got it. We got it.
That's all right. I'm going to give y'all a break tonight.
And
But anyway, y'all know where I'm going with this.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
I appreciate our police department. I appreciate you all. I'm pleased how things are going. So
Yes,
keep up the
ma'am.
good work.
And bingo is next Friday. Next Friday.
I'll be there. I'm
Okay.
ready. I'm bringing a bag.
She's not bringing a bag. Citizens Forum is still open. Citizens Forum is closed. As we get ready to move on to our action items. Madam Attorney, 13-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to ensure the timely implementation of a summer youth jobs program for an amount not to exceed $50,000, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams.
Second.
Second, who was that? Second by Commissioner Bass. I can introduce this item because it's my item. The purpose of this item was because last year I felt that we did our youth a disservice because we waited too late to put forth this legislation or to start our summer job program. And I just don't want us to make that mistake going forward. So I just wanted to ensure that we have a timely implementation of our summer job program, and we're not waiting till July, which when school is out, to scramble together, and then we didn't vote on this until the end of July. So I just wanted to make sure that we move this forward. And I believe that the first graduations are happening, I believe, in April. So I wanted our residents to know that we have a job program here, and I wanted us to start advertising it as soon as possible. So that's why you see this legislation in front of you all. So open up the floor for any questions. I didn't hear discussion, but I open up the floor for any questions because it was pulled, so I figured that somebody had a question.
Yes. Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Williams?
Excuse me. I absolutely agree with you that we do need to ensure that we have a timely summer youth job program here in our city, and we know that even our youth, young adult, Ms. Kimberly spoke on having this initiative. I think my question that I wanted to would have liked to have seen it flushed out a little bit more. It's the part where, so I know last year when this came out with Commissioner Davis, that it was in conjunction with Career Source. And for whatever reason, it could not get any teeth or legs. But my question is, this is waiting for a program. There's no like clear program that this will be connected to. And then so that kind of a if and or then statement. If it's not, then the city will then implement the program. And that's part is, how is that flushed out? Like, what office would this be through? Who would oversee this program? Just because it takes a lot to oversee a summer job youth program. So those are my questions, or one of them.
Okay, I can answer those questions. Number one, we are in conversation with Career Source, but the reason why I left it open, because if Career Source is unable, we were going to reach out. We're also reaching out to other agencies. Now, if for any reason we're unable to get an agency, then I would think that our city would pick up then and put forth this job, the youth job program. And because it is a financial thing, it would go under the city manager's office. So he would dictate where and how it will be programmed. He'll provide that proposal to the commission.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, so the county's citywide summer youth program does go through Career Source, because we're actually putting that out. But it's kind of unsure. So if this happens, then it will go through the manager's office, and then the manager will eventually flush out this program. I just would like to see it flushed from the manager's office and how this is going to look, so that we're not coming back to something else again and it's not clear. So we're not, this isn't happening again. I definitely want to, without a doubt, have a summer youth jobs program. I would like to see it a little bit more specific and flushed out than kind of an if and then. So that's just my statement. Thank you.
Well, this is one, it's not necessarily if and then. The $50,000 is a placeholder. So we know that we have $50,000 to do a summer job program. So I don't want to wait too late. So now we're in conversation. So if let's just say we are able to get, what's the Career Source? We already have the money in place. So all we have to do is bring to the commission the contract, we sign it, we move forward. So we don't have to vote on the amount, we don't have to do all of that extra stuff, because this is $50,000 that was not budgeted for, so it would have to go through a budgeting process. So now it's just the $50,000 is a placeholder for an agency, if not the city, to pick up this ball and run with it. I just don't want to wait too late. Remember, it takes a while for a budget amendment. So if we pass it now, we submit the budget amendment, and we can move forward with it. But if we wait too late, then again, we'll be back to square one, or back where we were last year. So I was just trying to get ahead of the game instead of waiting too late. That's the purpose.
So, Mr. Mayor, again, I'm fully in agreement with the item. I just want to make sure, and I'm just, because, these are the times, because we don't have the other process that we can have these conversations. So having that placeholder, that is absolutely correct. We should do that. I'm only saying to you, Mr. Mayor, let's have it flushed out once we move forward with it. Just let it be a little bit more flushed than where it is. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for this?
Mayor?
Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you. I commend the item for summer jobs. As you see in the backup, many of the summer job initiatives are ones that I had proffered. I really wanted to add, and since you mentioned you're looking at Career Source and other entities, I want to make sure a couple of things that's included if we're doing it. Sessions on business attire, how to actually present yourself for a job, et cetera, because those kind of things that we did as a part of our job initiative. Obviously, if you're going through someone else's program, you're going to have to do those. But what really caught my attention, you just said that you were concerned about the budget process, and I understand it to make sure there was money there. But when I look at the financial impact, it says that it was adopted in the budget for $50,000. So if the money's already there, to me, we can not move as fast, and whether we're flushing it out or adding what we think need to be in it, because I still think those components need to be in there, if I'm reading correctly, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, because in the information it says in the 23 adopted budget, it includes $50,000 for a summer youth job program. So if the funds are there, then we don't have to move as quickly, and I think we can get accomplished what we all want done, is to have our young people with a summer job opportunity, whether we go through Career Source, the county, or even partial to our own, we can still accomplish. And as you see, you got 50,000. We were working with 15 and in small amounts, and we're able to get it done. So I think it's doable. I commend you for that. But my question would be to the manager on the funding side, because I know if it's got to go through the state and all of that, it's a process, and I can understand you wanting to get it early. And so that's my first question. The other question is, going back to the implementation, whatever we're going to do, or whichever program we're going to go, whether it's a combination or with just Career Source with some kind of MOU, I would like to see that come back to the commission so we know exactly what it looks like. But if I can get that first answer, Mr. Mayor.
As far as as far as the MOU and the contract is concerned, whatever agency that we do desire to do, or whoever, I guess, that will be brought to the commission. So this is just open-ended. We want to move it forward so we get the ball rolling. So if it is Career Source or any other agency, that will be brought to the commission to say this is who we're going with. And do you all agree? Well, that would be the question at that time.
Well, I appreciate that, but it says implementation, which means if we were to pass this as it is, he's going to be implementing something, and I want to make sure that there, like I said, sessions on business attire, how to dress, certain things that our young people need to be aware of, and then if we're going to extend it into young adults who may not be in high school, which was brought up by one of the residents. But the initial question, to get back to the main focus, which is the allocation, am I reading correctly that it is $50,000 already budgeted? Because if it is, then our concern with getting the state to approve it and that time frame gives us more time to address, making sure it's all there, because we want to see our residents have a job opportunity for the summer. So they get that question answered?
The answer to your question is yes. I saw the manager shake his head. We do have the $50,000 budgeted for.
We do.
So I misspoke. Yes, sir. That's.
But if there's 50,000, then okay. Okay. So we're not under the tightness of time then.
We are under the tightness of time. I just wanted us to get the ball rolling. So we now can have those conversations with Career Source, bring an MOU back, and pass it, and move forward with it, because we're in March, and we're about to go into...
Well, then I would offer a friendly amendment. I
Yes,
don't, kind of like the same thing as my colleagues mentioned, the flush out. That timely implementation, I would like to see, Mr. Mayor, through the attorney, some friendly language that just says that it's going to come back to the commission before it's implemented, since we're not under the time frame of getting it approved for dollars. The dollars are there, and that would allow us to have some dialogue to make sure we're all on the same page with its, whatever's going to go forward. Now, Mr. Mayor, if you want to set a time frame on that, that's fine, because I know you want to get it moving, but I would offer that as a friendly amendment.
What was the friendly amendment in its entirety?
Well, my friendly amendment, it says ensure the timely implementation of the program, basically. What you're saying is whatever we decide to do, MOU or whatever, is going to come back, but it's not really spelled out in the legislation.
Okay.
So that's why I said a friendly amendment, because you're saying it, so obviously you plan to do it, just a friendly amendment, so it does come back and it does give us a chance to, as my colleague mentioned, flush out, make sure it's very whatever, and allows us to do what we need to do moving forward without it slowing down, since you're already kind of talking to folks. That's the only thing I would add.
Okay, so Madam Attorney, can we add that friendly amendment and then also put a time frame on it where the manager can bring back a proposal and allow the commission to weigh in to add?
Yes, sir. What would you like the time frame to be?
Let's say, the school's gonna be out, so 30 days? Is that enough time, Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, 30 days. Is that good, Commissioner?
It's fine with me.
Okay.
My colleagues, I mean, you know.
Everybody, is that enough time, 30 days?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just, thank you, Commissioner Kelly. Just, again, just want to see the flush. The money was already there from last year, so there, no need to rush and placeholder it. But just to have that flushed out would be great. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, anyone else on this item? All right, so we're gonna vote on the friendly amendment, and then we're gonna move forward. So Commissioner Kelly was his friendly amendment, so he made the motion. Can we get a second, sir?
Yes, I'll move the amendment as worded by the attorney. I'll move that amendment.
Okay, Madam Attorney, can you read in the record?
I rely in these meetings because we no longer have the binders, the internet, and the internet is down right now. So I can't actually pull up the item, but I will make the change in the legislation that will address to be brought back before the commission within 30 days. In addition to that, I will also add language that I think that was the only thing, that it come back to the commission within 30 days with specifics.
With a proposal.
And proposals and, more clarity on what this program would look like. So I'll add appropriate language in the legislation and make sure that it's filed with the clerk.
Okay, I'm not comfortable with that. Let's get, the city city manager is giving you her laptop so that you can make those changes.
Very well. Right now, what it says is, and this doesn't move. Okay. Right now, what it says is, just go down to the implementation link. Go back. Yeah. Okay. So right now, under the authorization section, it says the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka hereby authorizes the interim city manager to work with an outside entity or implement a city summer youth jobs program for the City of Opa-locka within 30 days would be the added language, and bring back to the City Commission in a form that outlines the specifics of the program. So that's what I would add in this legislation as the amendment.
Okay, so that was moved by, I'm sorry.
I'll move the wording that the attorney gave. I'll move the amendment.
We have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Williams. Madam Clerk, roll call on the friendly amendment.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 on the amendment.
Okay, now can we have a motion to move the item itself?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kelly. Madam Clerk, roll call on item 13-1.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, before we move on, I heard the issue about the internet. I just want to ask again, is this meeting recorded to be posted later? Because the answer, I was never given an answer, so that we can, it is being recorded. Okay. All right. Madam Attorney, 13-3.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida. This is the same, directing the city, I'm sorry, let me start all over. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to develop an annual scholarship policy to award scholarships to 5 high school seniors and establish an evaluation committee, a timeline for advertisement, and an application process, setting forth requirements and qualifications, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor.
Second for discussion.
Second, open for discussion by Commissioner Kelly. And this is also my item, and this is similar to the first one. It's for us to get it moving. We waited to the last minute, like the young lady said, to present this scholarship program out to the residents. So at this point, I want to make sure that we have a plan in place and a timeline in place that we do every year on an annual basis. That way we don't have to keep revisiting this once a year. And I'll also say this, the reason why you don't see an amount is because we vote on it during the budget year. So it's based on what's voted on in the budget year. So open up for discussion, Commissioner Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for wanting to get out in front. As you said, you had 5, only did 3, so hopefully we can give out 5 scholarships this year. The only thing I wanted to add was again, a friendly amendment, and all the ones that I pulled really are based on that same concept for the most part. Your Section 2 authorization of developing the scholarship, anytime I see the word policy, I always think of commission. That sets policy. So I'd like to add a friendly amendment on that Section 2 to say at the end, and an application process setting forth requirements and qualifications, and to bring back that policy for commission approval. But other than that, I'm fine with it, because otherwise it doesn't come back to us to even know.
Okay.
I thought the policy was already in place, but I guess it's not.
No, there is a policy, but it doesn't spell out the timeline. It doesn't spell. It's not specific. Not. So so it's not changing. It's just making sure we have a timeline in place. The policy is that we do this every January. I want a timeline. That's what I'm asking for. But I don't. Friendly amendment accepted. So I'll say that as much. Any other questions or discussions?
If he's finished. Are you?
No, that was what I wanted to just add, but you say it's already there. I just didn't see where it comes back to the commission for approval on the policy, because if it's already there, you're asking for timelines and an application process, but you're saying it's already in the package, which I saw some information. So basically, when you pass this, you're just reinforcing what you already have?
No, sir. Let me start over. The policy, this commission, we already have a scholarship ordinance for the scholarships. Okay. So what I want the manager to do is to say every January, I'm just throwing it out there, we advertise. February, we review applications. March, we start awarding. That's what I want. And any other changes that is needed to tweak that current policy in order for us not doing this every single year, because we're doing it every year, and it seems like we always are behind the 8 ball. We didn't award those scholarships until our kids were already off to college last year, which is the reason why we only got 3 children, and nobody knew about it.
Well, I agree with I agree with your intent starting early. It's just, once we pass it, I'm just trying to be clear that it's not going to come back to us with those established,
Time.
whatever it is.
Well,
But if you say it's already there, then I'll
no, I don't mind it. So we can do the friendly amendment for the city manager to bring that back forward to the commission.
Well, I hear my colleagues, because, maybe I just didn't it didn't clarify to me.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bass, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Commissioner Kelly pointed out what I wanted to say. We already have it in place, and you referred to a timeline. I would like to see the timeline before I vote on this, because it's still going to have to come back to us for a vote. Correct?
Okay.
So can we take care of that first?
Not necessarily. We can work on the policy and we can put the policy in place. That's what what Commissioner Kelly said can happen. He can work with every member of the commission, develop something, present it, and we go from there.
I kind of wish we had done that first, because we do have a tendency of putting the cart before the horse. And it would have been done with tonight.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Okay. So a few things, and so we know that this, and you are correct, it was advertised too late, and I think that's the biggest issue that we have. We were able to go back as a board, as a commission, to just, fix a few nuances within the actual scholarship application. So the issue that we have is the advertisement of the scholarship, because we talked about only having 3. The scholarship sits in the clerk's office. So because it sits in the clerk's office, this is an entire commission's scholarship. So I'm wondering, why do we need a resolution to set a policy when the entire commission could just inform the clerk what we would like to see right here on the dais, our scholarship to look like, so that this particular scholarship is not given out to our seniors at the last minute. So I think that's where I have some questions, and I don't even know if it's a question, because it's a commission scholarship, and we talked about this last year and was able to flush it through. I'm gonna say it again, there's parts that's not flushed. And so my question, even here, if 5 scholarships are awarded and we had 3, so now the question becomes, do we just give the 3? Do we as a commission vote on giving out all of the dollars so that we can exhaust the fund for that year? So that's that flushing out that I believe as a commission and as a board, we can just have that discussion. Madam Attorney, I don't know if you can help, through the mayor, help me. Is that something that we can just flush out here because it sits in the clerk's office? The budget?
Through the mayor, you all can, of course, talk about it right now and decide what you would want that to look like. You can do it in a workshop setting. It's the prerogative of the commission.
No, and I'm only saying, does it need to be in a resolution, or can we flush it out right here so that we can put it out? Because, again, it's not a line item that sits in the manager's office. It sits in the clerk's office for the commission.
Well, one of the things that was said a little bit earlier was that there is a policy and it was established by an ordinance. I don't know where that is, but I do see that there's a policy that was attached from the manager or clerk's office as backup here. So you have something that says Opa-locka Annual Educational Scholarship Program. You all could conceivably look at this, give the clerk direction on what you'd like for this to how you'd like for this to change, if you choose. You can do any number of things. It's within the purview of the commission. You don't, if there is a policy that the clerk's office already oversees or administers, you could certainly, as a commission, as a group, let the clerk know what you'd like to change, or you could pass this resolution and incorporate those changes in the resolution. We can work any number of options for you.
So what I would like to do is have the policy set by the commission. I don't know if that, and that's up to you, Mr. Mayor, you're the sponsor of it. And I'm using the word flushed again, just to have it a little bit more teeth inside. The dollars already sit. So if we're saying, and I'm reading, a timeline for advertisement and application process, we can do that right here, right now. Like, that doesn't need to be something that I don't, can we just, can we make is that what the point of it is? To just, so can we just?
That's what Commissioner Kelly
Yeah.
asked to do, a friendly amendment to add that language for us to bring them, to
Mr.
bring
Mayor.
back the policy before the commission where we can tweak.
Can I offer a suggestion, Mr. Mayor?
Sure, Commissioner Kelly.
If Commissioner Williams, to maybe incorporate all of our concerns that have been raised about timeliness and whatever. Since we're going to, you suggested the 30 days, that if we add the friendly amendment to bring back policy with commission approval, that gives the manager a chance to meet with all of us individually to incorporate any concerns we may have, that it may not be, to our liking, so that when the policy comes back, he's incorporated that, and the commission as a whole will determine the final product. But that would at least allow, in my opinion, the legislation to go forward, which is what we all want to see. Ultimately, scholarships in place, et cetera. But I think that would address the concern about making sure everybody's concerns are addressed. And to bring back the policy for commission approval in 30 days allows the manager to meet with all of us individually to incorporate all the concerns, since it is obviously by the commission as a whole. Just a suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I totally agree with your suggestion. Suggestion accepted. And I accept that friendly amendment.
Well, I mean, what I would like to actually see is if the item could be deferred into the next meeting so that the manager can have conversations with each of us. We know we have our rotating conversations, briefings with the manager's office. So, I mean, that's my friendly amendment. And just, and I understand, believe me, I understand the depth and the breadth of getting this out as soon as possible. But I would like to, since it's wrapped around the manager, have this conversation with the manager, for each of us to have this conversation, so that, and also with the clerk, again, because the clerk is the one that actually has to put it out. But I mean, I would like to defer it until the 22nd. If not, then we can move forward.
I don't know what. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, that could not be done within the 30 days, the meetings that you're referencing to my colleague, and still be captured by adding the amendment? Because the policy for the commission approval is going to come back in 30 days, but the meeting that you want to have, whether it's with the manager or the clerk, could take place within that time frame. So if that's your amendment to make sure that the meeting takes place, I would second that that motion, but I don't know why we would need to just hold up to defer it outright, because that same meeting is going to take place anyway, I would think, I would assume. But if you want to codify it in the resolution, I have no problem with that, but it's up to the board as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can move forward with, I just wanted to, I know what needs to go in that stuff, so, but that's fine. We can move forward.
But that's what
with it.
Commissioner Kelly was saying.
Yeah, no, I
originally.
understand.
So you can,
Yes.
whatever you want to add, I'm
Can
open
go
to
into
it.
the amendment.
but
Yeah, no problem.
It's sponsored by a resolution, so it will have to be amended. So that's what I don't mind. So the friendly amendment that Commissioner Kelly proffered, which is to give the manager 30 days to bring forth back a policy, also adding that same language that the manager will meet with each member of the commission so that they can weigh in on said policy and then bring that back to the commission
And
for
that's
approval.
within 30 days.
Within
correct?
30 days. Oh, I am so sorry. Vice Mayor, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Vice Mayor, you have the floor. You sure? Okay.
Got it.
Okay. So can you read that into record and then we'll do a motion?
The City Commission of the City of Opa-locka hereby directs the interim city manager to develop to meet with each city commissioner individually within 30 days to develop to develop a policy to be brought back before the commission.
Did everybody understand? Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk, roll call on the amendment.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 on the amendment.
Now can we get a motion on the actual resolution itself? Say it again?
I have a motion in a second.
On the resolution?
Yes.
That was just, okay. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Attorney, 13-4.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, requiring the city clerk to develop a process for tracking city commission events and prohibiting the city manager from expending city financial resources to support more than one special event for the same holiday or the same purpose within the 2022-2023 calendar year, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Vice Mayor Irvin.
Vice Mayor Irvin, would you like to, actually, please present your item?
Yes, I brought this item forth because last year and previous years, we're having we're having two separate events for the same purpose, and then it's like the same few people at both events, and it's just like it's almost spending unnecessary money. And I think that we could have one event for the same purpose and everybody enjoy it just the same.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly moves, second by Commissioner Bass. Open up for discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
yes, I want to actually thank Vice Mayor Irvin for bringing the item. I agree with you. Let's have one event for that particular holiday so that we're not overextending city resources, city personnel, specifically if the event is, already on the calendar. So kudos to you for your first legislation. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly?
With all of these items that I always see, the process is going to come back to the commission for approval, correct?
Vice Mayor?
You saying that the process is?
Well,
going-
it says we're asking the clerk to develop a process, so we would know what that process is, going to come back to us.
Yes, yes.
May I?
She,
may-
hold on, Commissioner.
Okay,
Kelly.
thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bass?
If I may, I think a part of that process is the calendar that we have already put together so that all of us will be, kind of separate but still together, not hosting the same event. That's why we asked the clerk's office to come up with that calendar so that won't happen.
Okay.
And thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor Lady.
Okay, Vice Mayor, congratulations on your first legislation.
Thank
But I
you.
do have one question. Section 2, authorization, the City of Commission of the City of Opa-locka hereby requires the city clerk to develop a process for tracking city commission events whereby all elected officials would be required to announce the desire to hold a special event no less than 60 days prior to an event. Can we get clarity on that?
Yeah, that part.
Because that's the, and then it goes on to.
That's why I said the process.
So, because I understand what Commissioner Kelly stated as there's a policy that's going to come back to the commission, but in this legislation, you all already developed the policy. So now,
Yeah, through the mayor, this is the, I don't know, it looks like you were looking at me. This is in the staff analysis, so this management needs to explain it.
okay,
I
so
didn't add that.
I understand this next part about overlapping events and of the same holiday year. We don't want to do that, but let's just say, Commissioner, I'm going to pick on Commissioner Kelly. Commissioner Kelly gets a call next week from somebody that says they want to do a feeding in Opa-locka. So he's prohibited from doing that because it wasn't announced 60 days prior to the event date. Or we go into the summertime during hurricane season, and like last year, we did that hurricane drive, but this legislation says that we can't do that because it wasn't 60 days prior to the event. So I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, want clarity on that part.
If I may, when they call him, they're going to be spending their dollars, not city dollars.
Okay, so this is just to spend,
That's when you're spending city dollars.
so every event has to come before the commission. Now, we're going back to future agenda items. Every event has to come before the
Bingo.
commission 60 days prior to, because that's what this part says.
So the calendar is going to be helpful.
Okay.
Because the clerk did get the calendar for us. So, I mean, if there's going to be an event and the Keisha's going to pay for it, it's not coming out of city money, it's not going to be city dollars.
Right.
It's going to be her dollars, so it shouldn't matter.
Mr. Mayor?
The 60 days, the commission would have to do it, let's just say today, to announce an event that we're going to have 60 days from today. That's where we at with this? That's where I'm confused about.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let me read what the city attorney is referring to. It says, "It is recommended that a procedure be put in place to ensure that commission members don't schedule overlapping special events. It is recommended that at least 60 days prior to a commission." So again, this is not the policy. This is a recommendation to move the legislation forward. And of course, once the legislation is, the process is flushed out, it will come back before you for approval.
Okay, now, I don't mean to sound like Commissioner Kelly, but what's in front of me is not the word recommended. So then under section 2, it says authorization. It does not read the word recommended at all.
And to the mayor, this is legislation, so
Okay.
we're not going to put in legislation, it is recommended. So if that's what they put in the staff report, that's what we're going to put. This is to you all, goes to you all for consideration, because there's no way to put it as recommended and have it be something that you're authorizing.
Mr. Mayor?
That's the only part. Now, I agree with Vice Mayor, this legislation needs to pass, because last year we had 3 events doing the same thing, spending city resources, and I thought
Vice
it was
Mayor.
frivolously. But,
Mr. Mayor.
Sir, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A friendly amendment,
Thank
it's
you.
amendment night. Could we make it 45 days?
I would even ask to make it 30 days.
Well, I don't want to mess up her first round.
No, I'm in support of it. So I'm in support of it.
But I'm saying
full
because
support.
there's
But-
something could come up. I mean, that somebody
Exactly.
could.
That's what I'm saying.
And to
Something
make
could
that
come up.
announcement may not make it, so 6 days could be out. And I don't want to get technical, but I would say 45 days unless it gets 4/5 of the commission to override it. Now that's getting too technical, but 45 days, Vice Mayor, could you?
I'm okay with that.
But or
Mr. Mayor?
wait 1 second. Or Commissioner Kelly, I will even go further than that. If you're bringing this policy back to the commission to approve, then completely X that part out, and then put that whatever the parameters is, something like that in the policy, not on the legislation. So that's my friendly amendment. If the sponsor doesn't mind, because the 60 days, in the words of Commissioner Williams, gives me pause.
Well, and just a question through the, Mr. Mayor, just as a follow-up, was the amendment to make it 45 days unless overridden by 4/5 of the commission? Was that?
I'm sorry, Mr.
I was getting real technical. I wasn't getting that technical.
If I can have the floor.
Hold on, Commissioner. Before we do the friendly amendment, Commissioner Williams has to you all are dealing with a very active commission, so we like to do stuff.
No,
so,
y'all.
So
I think this is gonna come back and hurt someone eventually. I'm gonna go back. I think 30 sounds better, and I know, but 30 days does give it a fair amount of time. I think the goal, and I'm just gonna go back. I'm going to say the goal was just not to really overlap, you know. Oh, no, I'm here for that too. Yeah, and so I think that, you know, it needs to just be clear that there shouldn't be an overlap of, you know, specific, a holiday. But Vice Mayor mentioned if it's coming out of your budget or if it's coming out of, then that's separate, like that's a different.
no, if it's coming out of the budget, it still goes with this.
Oh, so if it's, okay,
Unless you
well,
pay for it personally,
well,
or getting somebody
but
else
and I get it, because again, it is over exhausting personnel, city employees. I do think though, because if someone reaches out, like somebody just reached out to me now in March to do something, a church in Alabama on the 25th, and I'll announce it during my report. How do you say no? That doesn't stop. That's not anything that has to do with, you know, city personnel. That's an outside event. Huh?
Oh, that's what I was saying to you. It's like, that would be okay. If
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not spending city dollars, so it wouldn't be, we can take it out. I'm comfortable with it either way.
The
Well, I don't
discussion
like
is
that.
different. What you're
Yeah.
saying, we all support. Like, we all support, because it happened several times last year. It's just the fact that the 60 days that we have to announce 60 days prior to the event when things come up at the last minute. That's what gives me pause. But 60 days
I
is
would
a
like,
long time.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to do a friendly amendment.
We got three
Was
friendly
that already
amendments on
done?
the floor.
Was that already done by Commissioner Kelly?
I'm good with 30. I just was, you know.
Oh, okay, I was trying to beat you to the friendly amendment.
We got three friendly amendments on the floor.
I have one too, Mr. Mayor.
4 friendly amendments on the floor. Go ahead, Madam Clerk. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
No, that was it, 30 days.
30
yeah.
days, okay. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
My friendly amendment would be to remove the city clerk from this legislation.
Joanna don't want to be a part of that.
That one ain't happening. So
That one is not happening.
That ain't friendly.
We're not that friendly. We not that friendly. We ain't that friendly. Sorry.
Well, I'll second the motion of the 30-day friendly amendment sponsored by my colleague.
Okay. I'm in support of the amendment, friendly amendment, but I would like an explanation of how this process will work once you all present that proposal. You said the clerk is doing it, right? Is it the clerk or the city manager?
Clerk.
The clerk. So what?
City manager.
Well, the clerk and the city manager. To see what it looks like. So we need to present it. We do every quarter we have an events workshop where we plan events for the quarter. I just want to see, like the Commissioner Williams loves to say, fleshed out a little bit more to see what it looks like, to give a little more teeth to it. So I'm in support though, but I just would love to see that spelled out in the policy itself. So we're going to vote on the friendly amendment. The friendly amendment, Madam Attorney.
Okay, so I don't know whether you all took it out, because I heard you say, Mr. Mayor, that you wanted to take any wording out regarding the days, and then I heard later that you all wanted to have 30 days. So if the language is 30 days, it would just be the same, except where it says 60, it would be 30.
If you remove it, can you just add it in the policy?
You all can certainly do that. We can take it out altogether if that's what you all move to do and seconded and voted upon. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, real quick, I'm so sorry. Don't we have an event policy already? So doesn't this section to me kind of bumps heads with that policy that's already established that says this language? I don't know. I'm just wondering if we take this language out because we totally agree. What is this thing flying? We totally agree, but I just think this section, I would like to remove that section so that we're not going on a collision course with the event policy that we've already established. That's just my, I guess,
Mr. Mayor?
Fifth Amendment.
One second, Commissioner Williams.
I'm done, yes.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the mayor to Commissioner Williams, you are correct. You do have a special events policy, and your special event policy actually has 60 days. And I would encourage a consideration to keep the 60 days as we are working toward getting word out to our residents on your special events. We could utilize that time to promote so that the residents are aware of what you're doing, and we can fulfill our goal of increasing attendance to your special events.
I still second the motion 30 days.
I still second the motion 30 days too. 60 days is long. We have to amend the events policy. Okay, so Madam Attorney, I think we should move it out completely. Madam Attorney, we're a little torn because I think we should move that paragraph, that sentence out completely, and then when they submit the policy, then we'll go from there. Even if we have to amend but we're a little torn because Commissioner Kelly said 30 days. Vice Mayor, she hasn't said anything.
And if it can be, may I, Mr. Mayor, if that's the will and there is something that could be conflicting, then perhaps we can just take that sentence out.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
And then it would read, if you all agree, the City Commission and the City of Opa-locka hereby requires the City Clerk to develop a process for tracking City Commission events whereby all elected officials would be required to announce whereby there would be no overlapping event for the same holiday or the same purpose during the 2022-2023 fiscal year period. The manager shall be prohibited from expending city financial resources inconsistent with the intent and purpose of this resolution. So that would be the language.
Okay. I'm in support of it. One more friendly amendment. Take the year thing out. So this is annual. We don't have to do this every year. I want us to get out of the habit of doing that. So completely take the language of the date. That way it's set in stone. No year going forward we can have double events. So that's my second friendly amendment if nobody has a problem with that. Okay. We're good? All right, so, Madam, can we get a motion on the friendly amendment?
Move both amendments
Okay.
on the 30 days and the language that you just mentioned that the attorney read, Mr. Mayor. Move it.
So we putting the 30 days in or taking the, we're taking the
You took
language
it
out?
out?
We're taking it out completely?
Oh, okay, it's fine with me.
Okay,
Taking out the language, fine.
take it out.
I'll
and-
move the friendly amendment.
And the date as well. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass, Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes on the amendment.
Can we get a motion on, you have a motion, the roll call on the actual amendment itself, 13-4?
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Shout out to
5-0.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
First piece of legislation. All right.
Legislation unanimously.
You remember that 4 years from now.
We're moving on to 13-5. Madam Attorney?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to create a City of Opa-locka Maintenance and Beautification Division within the Building Maintenance Department, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams, would you like to go ahead and introduce your item?
Sure. I'm very excited about this item and have received a lot of feedback from residents about having a consistent, ongoing beautification process happening in our city. We know that for several years now, we try to figure out what that looks like. We have residents come up to Citizens Forum and give, different pieces of what they would like to see in their community. So this legislation would definitely take care of that. I would like to say that it absolutely has no financial impact on the city, and we're basically using the city's current resources that we already have. As you can see, transferring 7 positions within the department, within Public Works, to create this new division. I'm happy to say and excited to, well, if passed, let me say that, if passed, would be held by none other Mr. King Leonard, headed for this division, who's excited to see this happen. And just for the first time, we would have an arborist actually working here in our city that's going to let us know what plants, what flowers, what trees that we actually, our city, what's needed to grow and landscape so that we can maintain our city and just the beautification of it. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
I'm sorry. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Vice Mayor. We're going to open it for discussion because it was pulled.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Kelly?
I understand the intent regarding beautification, and there's been so many pieces of beautification. I'm still waiting on our total, complete policy package on it. Still haven't really seen that. This will create a division to focus on that. My question really is, I guess to the attorney, Mr. Mayor, to the attorney, if you're gonna do something like this, shouldn't it be done through an ordinance because you're changing within?
This is a division, so you do not have to do that. This is just the division within the department. Actually, the manager, I believe, would probably have the authority to do it.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
The manager would probably have the authority to do it, but it's not addressed in your in ordinances. I believe that you all can do it through a resolution. It's because you can establish actually departments. So I don't think you need to do it through an ordinance. I did think about that. It's a part of it's a division. You're reallocating. The most important thing that you all are doing here is, and hopefully the budget addresses this that was passed tonight. It would allow for this arborist to be funded, but the rest of the positions sounds like they're really the same. You have 14 positions, and you're putting 7 people in a different department so that they can pay attention specifically to beautification issues, plus you're adding an arborist. So, it's more of how the manager is allocating resources that he's allowed to do. I don't think it needs to be, to answer your question, established by an ordinance.
Okay, thank you. I understand the resources to focus on beautification. I just wanted to be sure of that. And secondly, so this is something we're, through the legislation sponsored, directing the manager, interim manager to do. So this has not been done already. This is something we're going to do.
Yes,
To
they would have to.
To the sponsor, I guess, because it's your legislation. We're
Okay.
asking the
What's the
manager to
question?
change, and I guess I'm asking that because I'm concerned we start moving positions and whatever within the organization kind of piecemeal. I understand this one's for beautification, but when you open up that door, to me, it can become an open door. So this is something we're asking to do. This is not something that has already been done. Correct?
Mr. Mayor, I'll defer to the manager.
Mr. Mayor, through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly, no, sir, this has not been done
Okay.
as of yet.
Thank you. And what will be left on the other side of this division from beautification will still focus on roads and streets. So I'm assuming you're going to have 7 people left dealing with just roads and street issues that are not dealing with beautification. Mr. Mayor, to the manager.
Through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly, yes, sir, you're correct. Those 7 positions are remaining in Public Works.
Okay, I want to be sure because I still get a lot of concerns, and I sent you some concerns about potholes from Meet Me Monday. And matter of fact, even some of those that you all have been doing are still very bumpy. They're nothing like they were before. So I want to make sure that those things don't get overlooked in this transition of beautification. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other discussion on this item? Okay, I had a couple concerns on this item. One, that we had a beautification workshop, and we decided as a commission that we were going to, together as a commission, develop a plan for beautification. And Mr. Manager, have you met with any individual commissioner? Because that's what we decided at that beautification workshop. I know you didn't meet with me, but I don't know about anyone else. And we were supposed to come up and develop a plan and bring that back to the commission at a second workshop for beautification.
No, sir.
Okay, so I'm in support of beautification, but a lot of things were said that we wasn't spending any money, but I hear we're going to hire an arborist, which will approximately $55,000 to $65,000 to include benefits. But we don't have an HR director.
Mr. Mayor?
So I agree with the legislation. It needs to happen, and beautification should be at the forefront. But I think this legislation is premature to what the commission had already put in place as a collective body, that we said that we were going to come together and do it as a whole. But those meetings did not take place. So,
Mr. Mayor? Or are you asking the manager a question?
to the manager, well, yeah, well, my question is, go ahead, Commissioner Williams.
Okay. So let me say, I wasn't at that particular meeting that you had for beautification. However, this does not take away from the commission coming up with a plan. This does not take away from us as a commission, as a body, to create what we see beautification will be in our city. This does not take away from that part. So I'm not sure the connection to the workshop, because at the forefront, if we're all focused on beautification, like I know that I am, then we would be, let's have that discussion. Maybe we come back to another workshop where we're bringing our ideas and here's my word, bucket those ideas into what we see for beautification, but this does not take away from that, from what was stated in that workshop.
Okay, I guess I thought that's what we would do before we bring legislation for beautification, that we discuss it as a whole. And because if we're like Commissioner Kelly said, we haven't received the plan yet, and we're moving employees around. So what are they doing different from day to day to under this legislation? So I guess that's where I'm a little confused. But again, I support it, but I just want to voice my concern, and that is my concern, that this didn't come back to us. But again, I support beautification, and I understand what this legislation is trying to do and what it's speaking to us, but I just want to, for the record, voice my concern on all of it, especially the financial impact. Any other discussion on this item? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Attorney, 13-6.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, requiring the city to host all special events associated with the city's annually recognized national holidays, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Bass.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams. Can I get
Second for discussion?
Second for discussion by Commissioner Kelly. Commissioner Bass, this is your item. Go ahead and present it.
Thank you. I thought that this will be appropriate for the city to host these events, of course, with Mayor and Commission being a part of it. Going back to when I started off, I believe it was in 2018, or maybe it was 2020, when Commissioner Kelly left, there were events that he had been doing throughout the city for many years, and not having the consistency to carry on with these events that our residents are accustomed to, for me, was an issue. So I took on some of them. So in order for us not to fall in that same way again, I believe that the best thing to do is to have the city to be the host of these events. And going forward, we won't have to really, do without an event that we were accustomed to. That's my main reason for wanting to do it.
We have the floor open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly.
thank you for Commissioner Bass describing the MLK Walk, because that was primarily one of those along with others. And I do appreciate the commission keeping that going along with yourself doing that. My only question to the legislation, because they are, some of them, very big events, and they're going to be hosted in essence by the city, I still believe, as I said before, when we had the discussion, that someone from the commission needs to be the point person. And I said that at the workshop because I still think somebody needs to be out in front of whatever it may be. And I see the ones that you have, well, that's listed in the proposed action, New Year's Day. I didn't know what we do, but New Year's Day, and all the other ones that are major days. But I still think someone from the commission needs to be out in front of those. I'm not talking about the ones that we specifically do individually, but 4th of July, Juneteenth, and I think some of us have taken some of those on already, so it's not a problem. But for those that are not, someone needs to be out front of them. And so I just wanted to bring that to the commissioner's attention. I think most of these I saw someone is spearheading, and some of them we're not even bothering with, Columbus Day and the like. I don't know how that list came up, but no, it's in the legislature. Columbus Day and, even New Year's Day. You know, I done watch night. I ain't coming out the next day like that. So.
I got church. I agree.
But I support the legislation, but I do think for those that are not already being spearheaded, that we need to have something in place, or hopefully someone will take them on, so they have someone out front, even though they're hosted, in essence, by the whole commission. But I totally support the legislation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes. No, thank you, Commissioner Bass, for bringing forth this legislation. I wanted to just go back to something that Commissioner Kelly mentioned about having someone out front. That was said during the event workshop where Commissioner Bass and I wasn't present. Was that when that was said?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, because I know also within that same workshop, I believe events were divvied out. So, Commissioner Bass, my question is, are there any specific special event that you had in mind, other than the ones you have, that you weren't given an opportunity to take on?
Actually, I was tardy for that party, so I was late.
Yes.
As it was happening, so not at this time.
Okay. So I just want to just make sure that's on the record. Okay. Thank you.
My concern is, I understand what everybody is saying, but the legislation is conflicting to what we're thinking, because it says the City Commission has determined that national holidays are such a significance and stature that they should be commemorated by the city without co-sponsorship by elected officials. So that means no elected official will be out front. So MLK will be sponsored by the commission as a whole and not by, so Commissioner Kelly will not be able to be out front on the flyers or anything.
And Mr. Mayor, to your point, that's my concern,
That's
because
my concern
whether
as
it's
well.
Juneteenth, whether it's Memorial, someone has to be out front. I mean, I think you and Commissioner Bass are doing Veterans Day. Somebody has to be out front of the legislation. And that's why I made the statement I made, that I think all of us have different things that we're going to maybe want to do, but if there's something left on this list, someone always has to be out front. I mean, it just has to have a front person, even though it's citywide, which I support totally, but someone has to be the face. So we're doing Veterans Day, just like we're doing National Day of Prayer. It's not on here, but I consider that as obviously a national holiday. So I know Commissioner Bass is out front. I'm going to co-host, and probably all of us, because I consider that as a national, even though it's not on the list. So I think you always got to have someone out front, especially on these national, because our whole city is, showcased as a whole, so we want it to be successful. That's why I brought it up in my comment to the sponsor. I don't know how you really want to handle it. Just want to let it be there and someone decide they want to, because you don't have many. I think from looking at the events, I think most of them are covered. But to the mayor, to the sponsor.
Commissioner Bass?
Thank you. If you would like to make that friendly amendment, that's fine. I don't have an issue with it at all. And also, I'm glad that you pointed out, because honestly, I did not see that the National Day of Prayer was not a part of it, so et cetera, to cover all of the nationals.
Well, I'll make the friendly amendment to include National Day of Prayer, because it does happen every year. And if my colleagues think of any more that's not on here, but I just know when I looked, I saw that was missing, and I know we're going to be obviously doing something for National Day of Prayer.
Yeah.
So to the sponsor, I make that friendly amendment to add National Day of Prayer, and then to my colleagues, however you want to deal with any others, that's fine.
That too as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I just don't, I feel like I have to say something because it's going kind of in a direction that I think it wasn't initially intended. Well, I think what the manager's office did was they gave the national holidays that are nationally recognized by the city. And so the idea is that there would be no co-sponsorships. There would be nobody in front. These would just be things that would be done by the city for these particular things that are listed. The MLK Day, New Year's Day, President's Day, Memorial, Juneteenth. These are all nationally recognized holidays that the city recognizes, right? So with that, so National Day of Prayer would be one. If you wanted to do by yourself, you could, with your name on it or whatever. But these that are laid out right here under Section 2 of the legislation, these would be the things that there would be no co-sponsorships for. So if you all vote to add this as a friendly amendment, and you say people are supposed to be out front, that's going to totally defeat the intent of why I guess you're bringing this, Commissioner Bass. So I just feel like I need to put that on the table, so at least you'll have some. Maybe you vote it down. Maybe you decide this isn't a good idea. I don't know, but you to do that, the friendly amendment, you will be totally defeating the purpose of why this was brought.
And that was what I was trying to get at.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Kelly.
Okay, you're trying to, okay, I got you. Well, I don't have a problem with that. Here's my challenge to that. My only challenge to that is we don't have to put the National Day of Prayer. We're going to do prayer. But I'm still saying, if that's the case, Madam Attorney, then Juneteenth, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, that we're going to be doing stuff are now going to be commissioned citywide.
You may not have events for those days, for all of those days, but in the event that you do, this legislation would say that it will not be done by a commissioner, a single commissioner. It will not be co-sponsored. It would not be sponsored. Nothing. It would just be the city of Opa-locka, period, doing things for these particular days. That's what this legislation, as I understood it, was intended to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
when we did our workshop, that's not what we discussed.
Understood. And I'm all for unity and camaraderie, and I understand the intent. But, yeah, I guess, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I think, so my only issue that I have is the sponsor was not there at the workshop when all these holidays were given out. She came late, but they were already given out. So, yeah, well, but they were given out. So what I'm saying is I do understand, because if we are saying that there's going to be someone out front, yeah, that, I don't know, because at the workshop, all these holidays were already divvied out, correct?
No.
Most of them.
We did.
Most of them.
Most of them.
And
Which is probably why there's talk. So I don't know.
To
Go ahead.
give clarity, we had a discussion, and though the sponsor was late, we recapped. And for example, the Juneteenth was the event that I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep calling you.
No, it's okay.
That Commissioner Bass was going to sponsor. But she
Yes.
stated on the record that she will be out of town. So she
Yes.
said, I cannot sponsor it. So I picked up Juneteenth. So people were present when we divvied it out. That's what I'm trying to say.
Of course.
But to the attorney's point, if we make that friendly amendment to have a commissioner out front, it defeats the purpose of this legislation, the way it stands. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner.
can I get a clarity from the attorney? I understand these are the days that are listed, so there should be no host or anyone out front. So let me just use MLK. We do our walk the Saturday before. We don't do anything on the official day. So for that particular initiative, if I wanted to do it, I have to do it through my budget, through my $10,000 allocation, because it's not happening on MLK Day. Is that what I'm understanding you to say?
Well, I think it's in recognition of whatever the national holiday is supposed to be. I guess you all could exempt that if you wanted to, but, you know, if you were trying to work around it, but it would be, I don't think it's, and you all decide whether it's intended to mean on that day. You all can decide that. If it's, the way that I interpret it is if it's MLK anything and the national holiday that's recognized by the city is MLK, and if it happens 2 days later or, before or whatever the case may be, that would still be the national holiday, right? So that would be the city's event. But if you all decide that it has to take place on that day, I don't, that's your decision. This is your legislation, your
Okay.
policy.
No, I understood and understand the intent of what Commissioner Bass was saying, but based on what you're saying, I use MLK just as an example. That means everything that we're doing, even if it doesn't fall on that day, now it's not hosted or whatever by anybody. Whether it's Juneteenth, whether it's Veterans Day, whether it's...
That would be, that's my understanding of
That's
it.
that's the way you interpret it.
Yes.
So that means whether it's Memorial Day or whatever, anything that says memorial, whatever, for the city, even if it doesn't fall on that day, would still be encompassed in the resolution if we pass it the way it is.
That's what I believe, yes.
So to my colleagues, I don't, or to the sponsor, Commissioner Bass, I'll leave it up to you because it's your legislation. Because what it sounds like, all of these that are listed, none of us will be out front, to use that language, right? None of us could host it or whatever. It's citywide. Correct, Madam Attorney?
That's how I interpret it.
Okay, so then to my colleagues, all of us, regardless of what event it may be that falls in this list, who's going to be out front? Who's going to make sure whatever? I don't care what day, which holiday it is. Are we going to leave that up to who? That's the question I have. I mean, I just use MLK as an example, but whether it's whoever is doing Veterans Day or Labor Day, or Independence Day, 4th of July, which is coming up. If we're going to do something, somebody has to be, and based on what the attorney is saying, even if it's not on the same day, it can't be done by an individual. So I'll defer to the sponsor. Commissioner Bass, what do you want to do? It's your legislation.
My understanding when I walked into the previous meeting we had was having the mayor commission to be the face of the national holidays was not an issue. My understanding that one of us would be able to, I agree with you, what you're saying, Commissioner Kelly. So as Commissioner Williams would say, it gives me pause because that went over my head. With that being said, I would still like to see the majority of this, if not all of it, to still be under the umbrella of the city itself, just to maintain some consistency within our events. I do understand where Commissioner Kelly is coming from. Truth be told, many of these holidays here, we don't celebrate them as a city. Looking at it, we do Christmas, we do, what else? We don't really do any events as Man Commission as it relates to the list that we have. Christmas, we don't do Veterans Day, we don't do any of those things. And I just want to make sure that every citizen in the city of Opa-locka is honored during their time, during our time. So I'm a little bit conflicted right now because I really had the understanding that one of us would be able to do so, but I want to make sure that we do not start something that we cannot finish.
Okay, to the sponsor, if I'm hearing you correctly, because what you're saying is that you want to make sure that all holidays continue on even if one of us is not on the board.
Exactly.
So the legislation, do you mind deferring this and working with the manager to rewrite this legislation and bring it back the way you want it?
Not a problem.
To be read? Because what because this is talking about a person being out front, but what you're saying is even if, let's just say one of us, move on.
Right.
Christmas is still taking place. We're still doing the MLK walk. It doesn't die with the, okay, so that would be my suggestion, if you don't mind, so they can get a better understanding of what you're trying, because I think it got lost in translation somewhere. You said it did? Okay. So that's my suggestion. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I'm asking you to defer it and bring it back with the proper language that you want.
I will defer it.
So, what,
Yes, I'll
you're deferring? Okay, so Madam Attorney, this item is being deferred.
If you can vote on that and put a date, time certain that you would like it deferred until, you can do it. You can do it indefinitely, you can do it for 60 days, you can do it
Let's do
the next
30, give us
commission
some time.
meeting, but,
The 22nd. So she's gonna bring it back the next commission meeting.
okay.
All right, so you want us to vote on bringing it?
Being deferred.
Okay, so can we get a motion to defer this item until the next commission meeting with the understanding that the sponsor will work with the city manager's office to draft the legislation that she sees fit, correct? With the proper language?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Move it
Second.
by, moved by Vice Mayor, second by Commissioner Bass. Roll call.
Question?
Sir.
Question? Madam Attorney,
Yes, sir.
is that something, we have to have a vote on the deferral of
we
your
never
own
did that
item?
before, so I was a little confused.
Well, generally speaking, yes, you would vote on deferring the item. I mean,
If it's my item, I still need to defer? I mean,
well,
a vote on
she
deferral?
can withdraw it, but if the motion is to defer under parliamentary procedure, you would vote on deferring and you would vote on a time certain. If the commissioner
Okay.
just wanted to, I will draw the item, she'll withdraw her item, but yes.
But that's
to
what
de-
she did.
to
She
defer it-
moved, she
Well,
withdrew it.
All right,
It was, it was to defer it, that's what I heard. So I'm
You're
just telling-
the attorney.
I'm just telling you
No problem.
parliamentary procedure.
Let's vote,
You
Mr.
can
Mayor.
do
Let's
whatever
vote.
you want, but I'm just
Yeah,
telling you,
that's why I
that
was
is
looking like
parliamentary
if we've
procedure.
never did that before. That's brand new, but hey, we'll vote.
What,
So the
what you
motion-
all have done before is you withdraw, you just say, I will draw the item, and if you bring
We've
it back.
never used the word withdrawn. We
Okay.
always use the word defer.
We've deferred and not,
I'm
But-
only telling you that.
Got it. So going forward, if we're going to defer an item, it has to be voted on. Okay, so new precedent. All right.
So if I don't want you to defer your item, I just don't vote. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I gotta look that up. All right. We had it moved by Vice Mayor, second by Commissioner Bass. So we're voting to defer the item
Until the next commission meeting.
until the next commission meeting. Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes?
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion to defer passes 5-0.
All right, so we have new items, 14-1. Madam Attorney, can you read into record?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the city manager, the interim city manager, to take necessary measures to reopen Ingram Park, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Kelly.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I would ask the support of my colleagues on this item. I've met with the manager in terms of some numbers that we would need to get the park reopened. And as I said to him, I want to bring it back to the commission. As we know, Ingram Park has been closed for too many years, and this would allow us to get the park open hopefully within 2 weeks after our cleanup, somewhere around the early part of April. But there's some cleaning and things need to be done, and rather than have the manager try to just do it and split it up, I want to make sure that it came before the commission, and I appreciate the effort that him and his staff have taken to try to work to get it done. I know Public Works has already been doing some things, but that's why it's on the agenda to get the park reopened. It does not have an impact on the long-term plans. I know there are long-term plans for the park, but as I said on many occasions since I've been back, the residents in the east side of town have not had a park to go to, and you can't compare Seagull because it's a smaller park. So I would hope that I would get support to have the manager move forward to take the steps he needs so that we can get the park reopened. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Can we get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second?
second by Commissioner Williams. Any discussion on this item? All right, no discussion. I will say, Commissioner Kelly, kudos for bringing this forward, much needed. And I understand that the manager does have a long-term goal, and I'm really looking forward to those long-term goals for that park, but I'm happy that you're moving forward to open it now. Madam Clerk, can we call for the roll call?
Commissioner
Oh,
Kelly.
but before you do that, Commissioner Kelly, do you mind if I co-sponsor this with you?
Everybody can co-sponsor.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Kelly, for that acceptance. Can we go ahead with a roll call?
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Attorney, add-on item 14-2. Please read in for the record.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending the annual adopted general proprietary and special revenue funds budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2022 and ending September 30, 2023, adjusting revenues and expenditures as reflected in Exhibit A, providing for expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing the city manager to take certain actions, providing for appropriation of all budgets and expenditures, providing for fees consistent with appropriations and amendment, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
Mr. Manager, can you introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the administration is bringing forward this budget amendment so that we can move forward with the projects and programs that the city residents selected to be funded with the ARPA funds. One of those, most importantly, being the rental and mortgage assistance program. As you are aware, the budget amendment requires 2 readings. So we wanted to get this on immediately, have the first reading today, have the second reading on the 22nd of this month at our second commission meeting so that we can start dispersing funds to our residents on the 23rd. The projects that will be funded were the projects selected by the residents by vote. In first place was the restoration and renovation of the Helen Miller Center and the Ingram Park facility that Commissioner Kelly just discussed, and that will receive $250,000. In second place, as we were expecting this one, was the rental assistance and mortgage assistance program, and that will be receiving $250,000. Third place was an actual surprise to us, which was the renovation of the historic fire station. Clearly, this was something that was important to our residents, and surprisingly, again, we had a tie for fourth place with 2 programs, one being the small business grants and the second being the artscape and medians and swells. Both of these programs will split the $250,000 and each receive $125,000. The administration is unable to proceed with expenses without a budget line item. This will create budget line items for each of these projects so that we can proceed to execute them.
Can we get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass, second by Vice Mayor. Any discussion on this item? Any questions for the manager? Oh, this is a public hearing item, I'm sorry. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. Do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes first reading.
Thank you. Next item, 16A1.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending Article 11, Division 5, entitled Civil Service Board, specifically Section 2-526, to specify the Civil Service Board should have the power to advise on matters pertaining to classified employees, amending Section 2-530, subsection 1, to specify that competitive examinations shall be held when practicable, amending Section 2-530, subsection 5, to require the Human Resources Director to maintain a pay plan for classified employees, and Section 2-530, subsection 7, to remove certification language pertaining to payroll, amending Section 2-534 to define classified service and unclassified service and specify exemptions, amending Section 2-535 to delete certain inapplicable responsibilities, amending Section 2-537 to delete certain inapplicable timelines, amending Section 2-539 to remove penalties, amending Section 2-541 to specify persons exempt from test, adding Section 2-542 to specify that in case of a conflict, collective bargaining agreement shall apply, providing for repeal of all prior ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city attorney.
Madam City Attorney, please, you can introduce this item. It's your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, the Civil Service Board had its first meeting last Thursday, and this is one of the issues that we have talked some about, and I've talked to all of you about the Civil Service Board not being in a position to really have effective meetings because you need a Human Resources Director. This Civil Service Board, most of the legislation, if you look at it, it really relates to the responsibilities and duties of the Human Resources Director and what a Human Resources Director is supposed to be doing with the board in terms of working with the board and also other responsibilities of that position. So since the Service Board was scheduled and they had their first meeting, it is incumbent upon me as your attorney to bring forth this legislation to basically hollow out the requirements of this position so that you don't, of this legislation, so that you don't have unnecessary lawsuits that specify what kind of things are supposed to be done that are not being done, or there's no ability for these things to be done because you don't have the processes and, you know, the professionals in place at this time to have that happen. So I could go through the legislation. If you haven't had an opportunity to talk through it, I know we've gone through with some of you in the agenda briefings, not all of you, but this is necessary if you're going to have these meetings. I did hear former Mayor Riley on the public mic tonight talk about deferring it, and my goodness, I'm fine with that, but if they're going to, if you are going to defer it and still have meetings, then you're going to have problems, because if they start voting on things and people start saying, well, you know, this wasn't done or that wasn't done, that's a problem. And it can still be a liability problem, because you may have somebody who takes the position that, you know, they believe they should be before the board, which in some cases, as I've talked to all of you about separately, there was no contemplation, at least for one of the unions, the police union, that they would be going through the Civil Service Board. And so we clarified that in this legislation. I'm obviously in favor of it. I know there's, concern from, at least one member of the Civil Service Board, but I bring it forward to all of you because I'm doing my job. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the legislation.
Can we get a motion to move the item?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams.
Second for discussion.
Second for discussion by Madam Vice Mayor. This is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open.
Good evening, Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jan Avenue. I do not support this ordinance. As the mayor stated before, we still don't have an HR director. I know that a lot of policies and procedures have not been updated in the city, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that some of the 99 findings are in HR. And I just wanted to state, I'm part of the board, a member. I'm a member of the Civil Service Board, and I wanted to state for the record, I do have an HR degree. I also have 20 plus years in HR. So I do have a lot of experience going through the process. So I do not agree with this, and we definitely have tendencies to suspend employees, even terminate without having write-ups or paper trails, which causes lawsuits. So that's why insurance premiums is so high. So I think we should not, I do not support, and you should not either. Thank you.
Public hearing is still open.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Brian Dennis, address 2140 York Street. Basically, what's happening here with the Civil Service Board that I've watched this board operate since 1997, you're taking the teeth out the board. You're making this board toothless. It's almost toothless to the point that it just be like the City of Miami Civil Investigator Panel with no subpoena powers. You don't have an HR director? Ms. Dominguez just gave you her credentials. But to rip the board apart and not give it its due justice, and what I've seen that board do in the years since it's happened, that's not fair. Even with attorneys going to courts over the years, they've lost several thousand, hundreds of thousands of dollars to employees in a lawsuit because of wrongful fires and wrongful terminations and things like that. People having personal problems and personal difficulties with personnel in the city because of that foolishness that they got going on in their heads. That's what's costing the city money. The legislation itself is just fine, as it is written in the city charter. The problem is putting your personal feelings in the business. That's the problem. And we know that that has been ongoing in the city for years. If people do the business of the city, then we wouldn't have the foolishness in the lawsuits and the high premiums, as former Commissioner Dominguez just discussed. But to take the teeth from the board is irresponsible, and it's not right. Madam Attorney, let's be fair. Let's be truthful when we all know what's been going on in the city. I think the manager has been doing an excellent job in steering this city into the right direction and getting a lot of things done. Let's continue to move that city forward, not strip the boards of its powers because people are afraid of things that could happen. To make it an advisory board is no different than a model city board or any of these boards that the county have. They just an advisory, but look at the community with the dollars that is doled out. Over the years, Liberty City is no longer Liberty City. Overtown is no longer over the town. So when we know what advisory boards do, they're like babies with no teeth. They can't chew meat. I don't support that at all.
Public hearing is still open. Public hearing for this item is closed. We did open this item, I think it was moved for discussion. Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes, I was hoping, I loved Nikisha's idea. I think that she said it. For us to do a workshop on this. And I'm saying that because as a resident, what I saw happen to Sharon, it's so unfair. So maybe, and I don't want to see it happen to any employees going forward. So if we could sit down and have a workshop and talk about what we want to have inside of this board, then I think we should do that. That's my suggestion, for us to sit down and workshop this.
Okay. Any other discussion on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
are we voting to workshop it, or are we going to vote on this item? So 'cause that's why I'm not.
Well, right now, her suggestion was to do a workshop as opposed to the item. We're not voting at all. There's no motion on the floor.
Oh,
So it's
yeah,
just
well-
discussion.
Okay.
There's a motion on the floor.
Oh, there was a
Yeah,
motion?
I was gonna say, I thought.
There was a motion?
There's a, no?
She never said it was a motion.
Oh, okay, I'm
It
sorry.
was just
I thought I
discussion.
heard a
There was never,
motion.
there was a
Okay,
motion.
okay. I thought I heard a motion. Okay.
Wait, 1 second, Madam Attorney, because Commissioner Williams still had the floor. And then I'll let you go.
Madam Attorney, so my question is when it was stated like stripped of power, or what specific power is the Civil Service Board given? I know we heard one person is HR, but everybody else isn't. So I'm just trying to, like, what's this power?
Right. I think there's some misunderstanding about the legislation. So the power was already stripped by the voters when this was in the charter to abolish all of the boards and then reinstate the boards again. So when subpoena power and all of that was years ago in the charter. And so when the charter was actually amended years ago by the voters, the Civil Service Board went away. So when it came back it came back in 2013, it came back as an advisory. It came back and it was amended in 2018. It was advisory. So the comments that were made about you're taking away the power, making it advisory, it was already advisory. Like if you look at just the legislation, the backup, it talks about advising the commission and the city manager on issues concerning personnel administration. What the problem was when it was brought back in 2018, there was still things in it that weren't cleaned up to make it clear that it's advisory, even though that's the role. Like it still refers to a charter, which is no longer in. It still talks about decisions being conclusive, even though it's advisory, which really doesn't mean anything if it's advisory. It's not their decisions are not conclusive. It goes back to the manager because you're advising the manager and the commission on different things. So what I'm attempting to do is to make what is not great legislation better, just so that you don't get sued by someone who, comes in and says, well, y'all aren't doing this and y'all aren't having examinations and the civil service, this legislation says you're supposed to be doing all of these things. You're not set up to do those things right now. You don't even have a person. So when I talked about the human resources person director that you don't have that expertise. I'm not talking about the board members. You may very well have that within the people who serve on the board, but it's the person who's actually overseeing this whole board and the whole process and supposed to be putting all these things in place, that they're working with this person to make personnel issues better and more transparent and everything else. You don't have that person in place. So personally, I don't even think this board should be meeting until you get a human resources director in place and we have somebody we can actually work with on the legislation to say, what can you do? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And I don't think it's going to be something they're going to be doing as one of the first things within the first 60 days of employment, right? I think there are a lot of other stuff that has to be done first. So I'm suggesting that you all, that we at least suspend the meetings of the Civil Service Board until such time that we can get someone in place, we can work with that person, you can have some responsible legislation, you can have workshops and talk about what you'd like to see and what you'd like to see this board look like and what advice you'd like to see them give you, all of these things. But right now, it's really premature without a human resources director. However, if this process does go forward without a human resources director, I'm asking that you pass this tonight, so at least we have something on the first reading we can clean up later. But I'm just trying to make it better. It's not. I didn't create the legislation. I think I'm just trying to make it better. That's all. To try to avoid any unnecessary lawsuits.
Commissioner
I'm
Williams,
good.
you still
No,
have
I'm
the floor.
good. Whatever I think of, I'll come back.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor. Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, go ahead. I'll wait.
Thank you. Madam Attorney, we get along on a lot of things, but I don't get along with this one. I would agree to a workshop, if you want to workshop it, but there's a need why that Civil Service Board, to my other colleagues, needs to have some teeth. Now, what those teeth are, this board can decide, but making it advisory to me does not accomplish anything, because all it is will be advisory, and most of the challenge you have come from upper management. I'm not reflecting on anything on the current manager or whatever, but I'm going from my own historical perspective and what I see that happens a lot of times when you don't have something or somewhere to go. Everybody doesn't have an attorney that they can go hire and what have you. Some people need to just be able to follow a process. So I would agree to a workshop, defer this item. I'd move for a deferral because not only with the Civil Service Board, but I have some concerns even about the Human Resources, Section 2535, regarding new positions, additional classes, changing classifications, in my opinion, without commission authorization. The PERC employee part of it, Section E of, dash E of Section 4, it talks about a hearing, who it would be in front of, filling of vacancy in higher positions. Historically, has not always been done fairly, so you need some teeth in order to make it in my opinion, a fair process for employees. And I understand the whole idea of unclassified and classified, and even that to me sometimes is challenging. So I wouldn't support even on first reading. I would second the motion if the Vice Mayor is moving for a deferral until after a workshop and then come back, because as it stands now, this is just, would be to me, especially the Civil Service Board, wouldn't have any real recourse. If an employee has a challenge with a supervisor or a department head, and ultimately the decision is going to be made by those same folks and the manager, to me, it defeats the purpose. I know about the challenges of the past with the Civil Service Board. I heard the former mayor in his comments. I hear what you're saying. So I'm hoping for somewhere in a middle ground, but it needs to have some teeth in that part. And regarding the human resources, we don't have a director at this moment. So to me, I appreciate you wanting to, in your words, put something on the table. But right now, I would second a motion, Mr. Mayor, and to my colleagues for a deferral and workshop, and then bring it back. Because not just the Civil Service Board part, but also the HR and some of these bullet points within it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well, the motion was never made, so you would need to, if you're going to do the motion. Now, I will say, we I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Kelly on this one. In total agreement. And I would like it, and as I stated before, I don't have a full understanding of the Civil Service Board. I wasn't here when the changes were made, so I would appreciate a workshop so I can know and get an understanding of all of the ordinance and the resolutions that were tweaked and passed and amended, and like Commissioner Kelly said, we come to a common ground. If we're going to, and we shape it, and it comes in that workshop. So I would rather see a workshop than to see this, because even with this legislation, I have questions and concerns, and I don't mind saying that I don't understand. I don't mind saying I don't understand it, because I do not understand it. And I'm man enough to say that I don't understand it. And I'm not going to vote on something that I don't understand. So I would prefer that you defer and do a workshop so that we can get understanding and see where we're going with this Civil Service Board, as opposed to just passing something. I can't support it.
Mr. Mayor.
But I will support a deferring. I'm sorry.
No, go finish. I'm sorry. I can't see you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But that's all. So I yield to.
I want to just do a pivot in the defer, but I would like for us to pause meeting the board so that we all flush out and understand it better. I don't think that the board should continue to meet unless we know what we're reading and what we're seeing and understand this, understand the legislation and the policy. So I wanted to put that piece in so that we can pause the continuation of the meeting of the board until we get that straight. And until we have a workshop and that we understand. And that's my friendly amendment.
Anyone else on this item? Okay, so Vice Mayor, she never stated the motion. So, Madam Attorney, there's two things. One, I'm sure Vice Mayor is going to ask to make a motion to defer the item, but the motion that was proffered by my other colleague to pause the board, can that be combined with that motion being that? That's, I didn't think
I
so.
believe it should be the motion to defer, and then you can
Okay, I didn't
vote on the
think
other
so.
item.
All right, so, Madam Vice Mayor, you need to state your motion for the record, please.
I'd like to state the motion be that this ordinance be deferred.
Is it pending a workshop, or what is it?
I'm sorry, pending a workshop, yes.
Okay, so the motion is set. Madam Attorney, it was made by, and Commissioner Kelly, seconded. I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, roll call on the deference and pending workshop.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And Mr. Mayor, if
Go
there's
ahead.
consensus on not having any meetings scheduled pending, further deliberation on workshop and other things, just to straighten out what's happening, and even a HR director, you could give that direction to the clerk and the manager that meetings should not be scheduled with the Civil Service Board, and if there's consensus on doing that, then that's what, can take place. That's what I recommend.
Okay, I'll say this, I don't mind voting in support of that, but I don't want us to kick this can down the road, so we're just pushing it, and we never move forward with our part in doing the workshop, in hiring, because like Commissioner Kelly says, we need to allow our residents a voice, our employees a voice. So I will support that. If we get a timeline as to when we're going to do the workshop, when do we set to, what's the manager's plan to hire an HR director, I just want to make sure all of those things are in place, and that's the only way I would support that. So if we can get that determined, then, because again, I don't want it to look like we're just kicking this can down the road.
Right, and just keep in mind, Mayor and Vice Mayor Commissioners, that you do, through your union contracts, have processes for grievance procedures, that if, something goes crazy left, there's certain grievance, including arbitration and other things that can be exercised in those contracts. But I do hear you, and I'm sure the manager does too, and if he wants to comment, he can do so. Okay. So at this point, thank you, and I guess a workshop will be set up in the near future.
Okay, so now you're just asking for a consensus from the board. So I guess we know the way Commissioner Williams is going already, so anyone else want to weigh in on that? Halting the board until workshop and hiring of the HR director?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I don't mind holding up, but I too don't want to see it, because now you're basically tying it to hiring an HR director and doing some other things. And again, my concern wasn't just with the civil service part, was also with the HR and some of the things that we would be asking them to do that I think is going to be problematic and challenging, that you may need some outside help to kind of put together a real infrastructure, if you will, in HR that may require some outside help. But I can go along with a halting of the board not meeting but it needs to have a time frame tonight, not just sit out there. So I know Commissioner Williams proffered that, so I'll listen to her, whatever she wants to proffer as a motion on that, but I don't want it to sit out there long. That's just my concern. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
so Commissioner Kelly, the Madam Attorney said that we didn't need to make a motion if we were in agreement. Are you asking to have a motion or what? Because what I'm hearing is a timeline. So that would defer to the manager. Correct?
Mr. Manager?
Is there a question, Mr. Mayor? Are you regarding the timeline for the hiring of our HR director?
Yes, and the timeline to actually schedule a workshop for that, so it's two things.
So certainly I can
The workshop
work.
is not yours, the commission can do the workshop, but the timeline for hiring of the HR director is.
So we have been aggressively attempting to hire a HR director for quite some time. And in fact, we had 3 candidates to be hired this week, and 2 of them informed us today that they're going to be dropping out of consideration to come as employees for the city of Opa-locka. We'll continue to aggressively seek an HR director through all resources that we have available to us, and hope to, maybe this one candidate that we have out of the pool that we had applied, which I believe was it 7 or 17? Okay, 17 initial candidates that did apply, and we're down to 1 that will even consider moving forward, and he will be interviewed tomorrow. So we hope to at least have 2 other candidates to compare with the current candidate, but we're aggressively seeking to move forward with the hiring of an HR director.
But we need a timeline. How long do you think you need to fill that position? That was the question.
90 days.
90 days?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is the board in agreement to the 90 days?
No, I won't halt the board for 90 days. No, I wouldn't support 90 days. I understand the manager's challenge, and he doesn't want to be put in a box with trying to hire somebody. I appreciate that, but I would not support holding up the Civil Service Board for 90 days before it can function in some way. I'll go for the workshop as soon as possible, and this commission can decide what it wants to do and make a decision and come back and vote on that, but to just wait out 90 days before the board could even function, no, I don't think that's what we should be doing for our employees or for the betterment of the city. That's just my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
so I'm hearing some conflict, and it's just conflict in the language. So we're saying we're going to defer the item because we're confused by it. We're confused by the language. We're confused by the scope of the process of the board and what the do's and don'ts. But yet we're saying we're going to allow the board to continue to function without understanding the scope of what the board is. That's where I'm seeing a collision course in language. So my question through the mayor to the attorney, if we're asking if the mayor and Commissioner Kelly was a timeline in terms of a HR director, my question is the legality of it, of HR. What does that look like? Like, if there's not going to be HR director for 90 days, or that's the timeline given, what could there be in terms of legal repercussion for the city if we don't have an HR director, yet the board continues to meet in the same scope? That's my question.
Well, I have some hesitation about giving people ideas on how to sue the city and why they might do that. But I will say that what this legislation is intended to do is not, although it sounds, because the title, and in the title I had to put everything that I was actually going through to change, but really it just kind of takes things out that are not happening, or tries to address the issues that the city cannot do at this time because it does not have an HR director. It does not substantially, believe it or not, change the advisory capacity of the legislation, which already existed. So whatever you all will be doing in a workshop, if you are changing it to make it something other than advisory, you will be substantially changing it, while this does not. This does not change substantially what you have existing right now. This is just cleaning up some of the things that I know are not can't be happening right now, or is probably not happening, and it just creates unnecessary exposure for the city with this just lingering out there. So, that's all this does. It just kind of cleans it up a little bit, just so if you all insist that this board keep meeting, it will allow it to meet without more exposure than necessary. But, you really need an HR professional to work with the board. That's the bottom line. And so until that can happen, it's not a good idea to have this board continue to meet.
Mr. Manager? Mr. Mayor, to the manager. It's late, y'all. I know you said 30 days, you said 90 days. Is there any way we can tweak that down a little bit, somewhat, so it will be acceptable to the commission? I know, it's gonna be a hard.
Well, absolutely, we could you throw money at it, it's gonna, we can probably increase, but it's a matter of how much more money we're gonna throw at it. Executive search firms can go to 6 figures. There are lots of things we can do to aggressively increase or decrease the time that we can secure the right talent to the city of Opa-locka, yes.
Mr. Mayor, to the manager? But you still won't be able to tell us, for instance, you said 90 days, let's say 60 days, if that would be acceptable.
Through the mayor to Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Kelly was spot on when he articulated what my motives were when I said 90 days. I hesitated to say 90 days because it's already been more than 90 days. The former director of HR left some time ago, and there are 2 positions that within the city of Opa-locka, because of some of our history, have been historically very difficult to fill, and those are positions in finance and positions in our human resources department. Therefore, I chose 90 days as a benchmark that I felt the administration could sprint to very, very aggressively, but anything less than that, we would need an additional budget line item to kind of bolster our ability to attract talent.
Commissioner Kelly, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think we can, Mr. Mayor, to my colleagues, and I have to get out of here. I think we can, to me, defer the item, have the workshop, the manager can see what has happened in between, but I would not be in favor of waiting 90 days for the board to meet. I'll go along with the rest of this month, 30 days max, but I don't want to wait before they meet, waiting on an HR director, and I don't want the manager just throwing money out there either, because we need a director. We need to have the person that's best suited that can do what we need to do. I think we can move forward in the workshop, and in 30 days, if we're still at this point, I think the board needs to go ahead and be allowed to meet. Hopefully that will get some traction, maybe it'll get some movement, or after that workshop, we'll have a consensus to move forward whether we have an HR director on board or not. Because some of the concerns I have are not just, as I said, related to civil service of the board, it relates to HR as well, and some of the other things. So that's my suggestion, because we can't be all night, but that's my suggestion.
Okay, so we got one vote on that, the 30 days, and halting them for 30 days, and then within that time frame to do the workshop. I'm going with that. And I hear the manager loud and clear. So I hear you. So, but I'll 30 days, and then we revisit it again. But in that time frame, we need to do a workshop, like as soon as possible. So you got 2 for that. We're just waiting on everyone else.
I'm good. I'm
3
for
on
that. Yes.
4 on that, and okay. So that's your consensus. So we're going to halt the board for 30 days from today, and within that time frame, we need to do a workshop. So we're going to moving right along to our city manager's report.
Madam, Mr. Mayor, I move to defer the item.
Defer.
We have to vote to defer now.
We already voted to defer.
Voted to defer?
We already voted to defer.
Okay, thank you. I'm tired.
Yeah. So city manager's report. Mr. Manager, it's late.
Understood, Mr.
My wife
Mayor.
texted me twice.
Understood, Mr. Mayor. So I've already reduced my manager's report to just 2 items. There are lots of things that we want to keep the residents and, of course, the commission abreast of in the public forum. However, the 2 most important things are the report that you just received of the state of Florida from the Auditor General's office responding to our package and addressing the 99 findings. I am very, very ecstatic to report for the first time since 2017, the city of Opa-locka has now been reduced to just 12 uncorrected findings. And I want to quickly go through those and discuss them as quickly as possible for the record to indicate to the public and have the commission an opportunity to understand what management is doing to address the 12 uncorrected findings of the 99 findings. 18 of our findings are fully corrected. They want some additional information on 44 of our findings, and 10 of the findings are no longer applicable. So very quickly, for the 12 uncorrected findings that still need to be addressed, finding 5 is untimely financial reports and annual audits, which we're well aware of. We have submitted a plan to the state, submitted a plan to the commission that we will submit 2 audit reports, annual audit reports, 2021 and 2022 this year, which will put us on track to timely submit our audit for the first time in 10 years, June of 2024. Finding number 6 was the updating of the strategic plan. Administration is already preparing a resolution to update, to put out an RFP to update, to find a company and vendor to help assist us with updating our strategic plan. Finding number 7 was management turnover, and the report focused on 3 positions, city manager, chief of police, and the absence of a finance director. Absence of a finance director has been corrected. We have a chief of police in place, and we are moving forward to put a permanent city manager in place. Finding number 8, internal audit functions. We have budgeted for internal audit functions in the city manager's office, and we're also looking for a vendor or a staff person in-house to fill that position. Finding number 10 was lack of risk assessment, and that is now been moved to Mr. Anathan's department under budget administration, and he will be moving forward once fully staffed to execute a risk assessment. Finding 16 is a bit technical, which is just the fuel taxes. The way we had been reporting fuel taxes was not as a restricted account. They want to see that as a restricted account because those fuel taxes can only be used for certain things. And we're moving forward to do that. Finding number 18 has been a significant county or problem with the city of Opa-locka for quite some time, probably well over a decade. And that's the interfund borrowing and transfers, or what I have had multiple discussions from this dais and individually with you as to the due to and due froms. In April of last year, when I was appointed interim city manager, our due to due froms was at $55 million, which requires going back several years, nearly a decade, to unravel and undo. We now have our due to due froms down to about $22 million, so we're on track to really start getting some real accountability of where our numbers are. Finding 37 was our debt management policy. That is almost completed and will be ready approximately within the next 30 days, as we're required to respond to their response to our response within 30 days. Finding 42 utility services customer deposits. We are working with our finance department to determine, first, find those customers and create a process for us to determine how much we owe them, or if they owe us, or have their accounts still outstanding. We have staff on that, and we're working through that, and hope to have that also completed within the next 30 days. Finding 52 will certainly be completed in the next 30 days. It's the city pay plan. The city pay plan is actually already written. The last step is to present it to the commission for approval. But on the city side, as we've been hiring new staff, we've already been adhering to the new pay plan, so that the new employees, once the pay plan has been approved by the commission, will not have to have their salaries adjusted or lowered or increased based off of the new pay plan. Finding number 79 is the city before did not utilize a procurement process when purchasing insurance. So we have already worked to correct that, and this commission has already approved us to go out to put a RFP out so that we can get a broker, so that we can get competitive pricing for our insurance. So that certainly will be addressed in the next 30 days. And finding 82 is a report on the city commission minutes. So those are the 12 uncorrected findings of the 99 findings. We started out with 99 in 2017, and we're down to these last 12. The partially corrected 44 findings, there's simply some additional documentation, and there's 44 of those, and we can go over those at a later time at the will of the commission.
Mr. Manager, in that same, the 99 findings, what we did was I printed out through the clerk's office a hard copy of all of the 99 findings and what the audit committee presented via email this morning. Please pass it out to the commission. And as far as the 44 and the remaining, I'm going to ask you to workshop that with us, so that and in that same workshop, let us know, that way the residents know where we are, and allow us, and also let us know your plan of submission. And I know it's long, so that's going to be a very interesting workshop, because those that were here at the NAS 99 findings workshop, So, Mr. Manager, but it has to happen. And please, so as soon as possible, before we submit to the Auditor General, let's have that workshop for the 99 findings where the commission is updated and it's not rushed, and that way everybody can get an understanding where we can have a dialogue back and forth with questions. So any questions on the 99 findings that the manager just went over, which is the remaining 12 findings?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
one
ma'am.
quick question. The time is nigh, so let me quickly go. Mr. Manager, so I'm trying to do the math. 12, you gave a number of 12, but yet 44 still need more teeth and more information. So we're not counting those 44 with the 12? How do we not do that?
So this is a process that the Auditor General utilizes, and it's in a report that I believe that's been submitted to you via email. They have 4 categories: corrected, partially corrected, uncorrected, and not applicable. So those are the 4 categories that they state for their findings, and we are just following that process.
Okay.
Did I answer your, through the mayor to Commissioner Williams, did I answer your question, Commissioner?
No, you did. I don't know. I guess if it's still an issue, but that's fine. Like, I would see the 44 wrapped inside of it, but it's okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes, we did get the email. Thank the manager for the email. I look forward to looking at the hard copy. I along with Commissioner Williams, this is 12 done, 44 partial, so we're still at 56, but at least we're making progress. And as you said, Mr. Mayor, we'll do a workshop to go over the others, and Okay, we'll do that. I have to leave, so I will, again, send my concerns to the manager via email. I will say, Mr. Manager, I know it's kind of rough this time because you're in Tallahassee, but I don't want to wait to get my responses a day before the next meeting. That's unacceptable. And I still have a challenge with the police department, so as soon as possible, set up a meeting with you and the chief regarding the police concerns for Meet Me Monday, because they're still happening, even after leaving Meet Me Monday this past month. So thank you very much. My colleagues, I do have to go. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for the manager? No. Okay, Mr. Manager, you say you had two things. The first one was the 99 finals. What's the second one?
The Shot Spotter program. So, as you are aware, we received a grant from through Congresswoman Frederica Wilson's office for the Shot Spotter program, which assists our police department with identifying the location once shots are fired. Tonight, we actually had a shooting. And I am, although I'm disappointed to report that we had a shooting, I'm excited to say that we had the first opportunity to use the Shot Spotter program. It directed our police department exactly to the spot where the shots were fired, and they were able to recover the shell casings.
Nice,
Yeah. So we want to thank Congresswoman Frederica Wilson's office for the opportunity for the city of Opa-locka to have this very, very useful resource.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Kudos to you and the police department for that. Job well done. Any other questions for the Shot Spotters program for Mr. Manager? Okay, hearing none. Madam Clerk, do we have any official board reports?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and we have our mayor and commission reports. Any mayor and
I'll be
commission
quick.
reports?
I'll be quick, okay, because Commissioner Bass is dancing over
Yeah,
here.
because I gotta go too.
No. So please join March 16th at Shabundi Village, Pearls of Wisdom, 6 p.m. Join Commissioner Bass, Dr. Commissioner Bass and I for a panel discussion to inspire, motivate, and empower young girls, teens, and young adult girls. And the Pearls of Wisdom is going to have that. We're going to fix your crown so that we can show you how to be a woman that stands in purpose. So we're excited by that and how much traction it has gotten. Next, join, and this is, well, I guess there will be two things going on. Saturday, March 25th, and unfortunately, it just came on my lap, but fortunately, let me say that, fortunately, partnership with Wayne Barton from 10 a.m. to 1 at the Opa-locka Church of Our Lord, and that address is 2010 Alabama Avenue. The food feeding and distribution as well as health fair, and that information was provided to the clerk. And lastly, I just want to just kind of put on record, it's clear tonight was very clear why future agenda items should have stayed. We spent more time flushing out, deferring, and friendly amendments instead of actually voting on items that could have been flushed out before. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Moving right along for commission reports, and I don't think Vice Mayor will mind. We'll take a point of privilege and just move on with this. We know we have bingo Friday. We're saying that this is our kickoff weekend for spring break because we want to go home. So we have the Pearls of Wisdom panel discussion on Thursday. Friday is our bingo, and Saturday is the pool party that Vice Mayor is having. You can reach out to the clerk's office for more information on all of those events. And if hearing none, no more from the commission, hopefully, no. Okay, good job. Madam Clerk, any official board appointments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in your package, you should have a board application from former Commissioner Chris Davis for the Housing Authority and Nuisance Abatement Board, and that is individual appointment.
Okay, so a Housing Authority Nuisance Abatement Board for former Commissioner Chris Davis. We have a couple of individual appointments. Would anybody like to give him that appointment? Okay, Commissioner Bass says she has a vacancy, so she'll do it. So we're there. Motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass, second by Vice Mayor. Good night, you all. Sorry for the long night, and thank you for your sacrifice and being with us tonight. Have a great night.